All right, welcome on in to a very special episode of DCU Daily. I know, so curious. As you can see, I've got some special guests with me. We have got Fiona here, and then we've got our crypto reporter, our crypto commentator. Zelda is here. Is that the speak? Did I speak? No. Okay.
No speak.
No speak. No speak. Okay, it's cute. She's really cute though. I mean, you gotta admit, Zelda is.
We're gonna get all the views with this one.
Gotta get all the views. That's what we're talking about. But hey, we are talking about a lot of Superman today, so definitely stay tuned. We're gonna keep our review spoiler free for today because I know a lot of you guys probably haven't seen the movie yet, but those of you who have, please, no spoilers in the chat. We have a zero tolerance policy today. There's a lot of us here, and between John, Fiona, and I, we will, shut you down for at least 24 hours. So we're gonna keep an eye out. We're here to talk about the movie. Whether you liked it or didn't like it, let's have the conversation, but without attacking other people. Let's stay civil, and we'll dive into it. We also have to talk about Dune 3. We have some news on other parts of Hollywood are still working. It's not just Superman, but again, Lizz is here, so she'll talk about Jurassic World, and then we have to talk about the final predictions for Superman opening weekend at the box office. Just how much is it going to make? And we have the Rotten Tomato score as well because the reviews are out, so we will talk about those, talk about ours. To do that and so much more, let's get the show started.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka, hunka.
All right, okay, let's get the show on the road. So with us today, as always, we've got John, but also we've got Lizz, because both of them are bringing their very best. We're gonna start off with look at that. This is why Lizz was saving her camera shot.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
I didn't see you there. Hi.
This is an inopportune time for me. I don't even have my aviators right now.
I told you I'd find him.
There it is.
I told you I'd find him.
This is wild. What is going on?
I'm just trying to sniff it.
Okay. Oh God, the craziness is real. It is real. I already lost track of what I was gonna say next, but I guess usually what we do is we talk about.
There, Lizz goes. She's having
there
trouble
goes Lizz.
again.
Lizz, hopefully she'll be back soon. But hey, John, how are you doing today? How is your?
I'm doing wonderfully. I think. I'm ready to talk some Superman. I got the shirt already. People can't see it, obviously. Well, I changed, but I was also wearing red shorts and red sneakers. I'm like, the only thing that's missing is blue, pants that I could wear under the shorts, but I didn't want to go too far because it was hot and humid today. It was really.
So you're saying you
gross.
had trunks on? You had trunks on?
I did have
today?
trunks on. They're on the floor right now, but
good for you.
I needed. I'm sorry. Once I get home, my pants go off and I go into nice, comfortable clothes. So I'm wearing pants. Don't worry, I'm wearing them. I'm just. They're more comfortable.
That should be another thing for our merch shop. Once I'm home, pants are off.
Yeah, easily.
John.
Speaking of which, Lizz, how was your evening?
Oh, my evening was wonderful, thank you. I saw two blockbuster films tonight. And then there was a thunderstorm on the way home. So everything was great. I saw some Wicked Lightning after I saw some Wicked acting.
Saw some Wicked preview.
I also did see that, but I'd already seen that. So,
No, I know. It's just it's very...
Again, and for the next year, John, it's going to be shoved down our throats the rest of the year. Pink
I only
and
got
green,
3 trailers.
pink and green, pink and green.
Look, we got all the merch.
I didn't. They said the popcorn buckets weren't available yet, so that's why I didn't get one.
Yeah, they had nothing else at my theater but my cup.
There was no cup. There was no popcorn bucket. There was no merch.
Yeah,
I was kind of upset.
there is an
But,
action
the woman
figure
was like,
that's
come
supposed to
out
be on
Wednesday.
top.
Next week we'll have them Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
there
they're
is
gonna
an
be gone
action
by
figure that's
Thursday. I'm
supposed to
like,
be on top of this. They sold out of that, so I have to wait until the weekend. But look at this. Look at this.
I kind of like that one.
I know. I like that one too.
The whole
Yeah,
thing's
we got
rubber. I'm
some.
not gonna. I don't actually drink out of these. This just goes on display at my house. But yeah, these are.
Oh wait,
these
the
are
Ars
mine.
Animates. Look at that.
I will say Lex Luthor.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even
more
notice
like
that.
Yeah, the Lex
Professor
Luthor's
X there a
cool.
little bit.
Mine is more. Oop! I knew that was gonna happen. Mine is more. It's an actual action figure. It's not a
Yeah.
caricature like that. The one I'm
Zelda,
getting,
come here.
but yeah,
Gig.
got the merch. Had to get the merch.
I have no.
I feel like the
I have
straws
my
come
mug.
out for this.
I got my mug. Glug, glug.
This straw's going a really weird
You have the
position.
ring, John. You're already ahead of the game.
I
Love
mean,
it.
I have my mug. I
Love
mean,
it.
I got this. I have,
Yeah.
it's not the Guy Gardner ring. It's just a Green Lantern ring, and then I have.
By the way, we've got everybody in the chat. Just want
Box.
to welcome. We got Enterprising in the chat. He was first in the chat. Movie Spud is here.
Enterprising, let's
Just keep
go.
flashing. Caleb is here. Honka honka.
Honka honka.
Frankie's here, of course.
Frankie.
Mana's time is here. Hello, fam.
No. Wow. Family.
Are you
Yeah,
referring to this whole thing that we got going on today? Yes.
definitely a huge family.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Love it.
Kevin
Never
is
gets
here.
old.
PC24, of course. Movie Spud is here. Movie Spud's seen this movie like a million times this week.
Yeah, so happy for you. It's awesome. Awesome.
We are off to a great start to the show, don't you guys think? This is very lively. I just want you to know, Zelda is also here.
She's yawning.
Zelda,
Like, bro, I'm already bored of this shit. Get me out of here. Meanwhile, my dog is hiding in
Accusing
the
her of
basement right
popcorn, that's
now.
not
She
nice.
went
Because
away from it. She didn't even
doesn't
want
like
it. You don't like
understairs.
it? She doesn't like it.
Oh no, Zelda does not like buttery popcorn. That's
Nah.
okay. So I know you guys can't see me, but we are here to talk about Superman. So let's do you believe in magic? That's
In a
the
young girl's heart.
well, I don't was there magic? Okay. Let's establish the ground rules for a second. All right. I'm gonna go full on. Here are the rules for today's review. I'm gonna put on the graphics so we're established. We're talking about Superman. Here's the order of events. We're gonna do our Superman review today. We're gonna do a spoiler-free review, so we can't get into the spoiler details yet. Thank you, Zelda. I'm still here. But then we're gonna talk about Jurassic World. We have to talk about, we'll have some quick hits, including Dune Messiah starting to film and what cameras they're using to film the whole movie. And then we will get back into talking about Superman more. We're going to review the LA premiere. And then we will also talk about the final predictions for the opening weekend for Superman, as well as, of course, we have to go through other reviews out there. What are the critics saying about the movie? I'm sure you guys who have seen the movie now can talk about it. Bridget, speaking of, is still out there watching the movie right now as we speak, because if you're on the West Coast, then you are currently in a movie theater watching. And so Liz.
All right, guys. We just walked out of the movie.
Sorry, that's the wrong video. Hold on, back to what we were talking about. But we do have. Sorry.
I'll take Zelda away.
We do have video from Bridget, and the line outside TCL, the Chinese theater in LA. So we will talk. We'll bring in all the content that the on the ground reporting. We have reactions from John, Liz, myself. Obviously, we're here to talk about the movie anyway. So let's get the conversation started. John, I know you have the poster up, so let's start with the review of the movie. So the reviews are out from all the critics. I saw that the Rotten Tomato score was in the 80s. It was roughly around where I said it was going to be yesterday. Pat on the back, around 85% last I checked. It was 86, 88%, somewhere in that number. John, you were thinking 81%.
I think
Liz,
it was
I forget what your number
87
was.
last time I checked.
Yeah. Liz, you were muted, but yeah, it's the glasses. You can't see anything when you have those on. There you go. So let's start with the review. So and I want to start with asking, let's see, where do we begin? Liz, how about, because if your connection bumps out, we'll start with you. You let us know. First, we're going to do our individual quick thoughts, and then we can have a conversation. So, Liz, what did you think about the movie?
I'm very happy. I can't wait to see it again. I've already recommended it to a couple of people, especially some friends that aren't huge on superhero comic movies. I was like, dude, you need to see it. You'll love it. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Okay, so Liz loved it. All right, awesome. And then John, what about you?
I thought it was great. I have a couple grievances. Some spoiler-y ones once we get there later on in the week, so I'm not going to mention them here. But I thought pretty much everyone did a phenomenal job. I thought it was good plot-wise, story-wise, character-wise, acting-wise. The score was great. I thought there was a lot to enjoy about this. As many people said, this feels like an episode of Superman the Animated Series on the big screen, essentially. Very big, very epic. I have some nitpicks, but like for the most part, as a whole, I thought it was great and really well done. And also, I will say, Superman's pal, man, he was the goat. He was the goat of the movie, in my humble opinion. He was 100% the goat. Gunn did him justice, and we've come a long way from him being a CIA agent with a bullet in the head.
For a second, I thought you were talking about Crypto. I was trying to find Crypto.
No. Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. Come on now.
Okay.
I mean, Crypto was great. Because, I mean, as someone who also has a problem dog, I relate. And so, I, again, love her to death, but she's a bit of a bitch. So, I still thought, all of it was great. But I will say, and I'm not saying this because ignoring my thoughts previously, sex art. No, none of that. I'm just saying like Jimmy Olsen was just really good in this movie, and how they characterized him and what they did with him was really good. But yeah, I think it, if we're getting into more specifics, again, don't worry, I'm not doing any spoilers. I will say the editing and pacing in the second act was a bit wonky. It felt like kind of a little bit of that ADHD editing that is kind of famous.
It was like me on 3 Red Bulls. That's what it felt like.
Yes, and it feels like
everybody knows this too.
I totally agree with that.
Bit choppy at points, and the pacing was a bit off. But I feel like the first act and the third act didn't have those problems. Second act had those problems a bit. It was kind of a little bit of going through the motions, a little bit of things happening, but nothing really terrible, because once it gets situated properly in a long-term kind of thing, it takes its time, then it's good. It just sometimes it kind of has that editing, and it's just not great. Third act was brilliant.
Yeah, and Hosea wants to know if the action was lacking. Not at all. Not at all. No,
I mean, I would understand. Here's the thing. I will say this about the movie. And I'm not just saying this I just want to make sure, watching the movie, this isn't anybody who hates this movie is a stupid Snyder fan. Watching it, I'm I would get why people would not like this movie. I get it. It's not mass conspiracy Snyder fans or anything like that. I'm watching it, I'm this is made for a certain audience, and some people are just not in that audience.
Yeah.
So I would understand if people don't like this movie.
Fair enough. Okay, it's just, again, so if any of you guys are joining in a bit late, we're not talking spoilers on today's show. We're going to keep it spoiler free. So again, we're going to talk about the movie, but and without spoiling any key details. I mean, obviously there's a lot of surprises in the movie, certain things that were confirmed, rumors previously, otherwise not confirmed. So we will get into that stuff on Friday. So until then, we will give you, I know you guys have questions. I'm pulling these and putting these aside, and I'm going to, bring those in a second, because we haven't gone to, Fiona and my review yet, but so we will get into that as well. And again, for everybody joining in right now, just making sure, look, if you guys are here watching live, even after the fact, if you're going to be dropping in a comment, which we appreciate, and please do that. But and yes, John, I did say do, so there you go. But
I wasn't gonna say anything this time. You brought that up.
I know you, but you were thinking it anyway. So there's that ADHD brain again. Just keep the spoilers away, right? That's all I'm saying. Is let's stay away from the spoilers for now, and don't spoil the experience for anybody else. And I know I've got just some geeky guys questions in here. I'm marking up questions, John. If you want to help me out with this, and we're gonna
I have the chat
aside.
open, but my phone is like on display
Yes.
up here, so that's why I keep looking.
So after we do our initial reviews, which we're working on now, and Liz, I'm sure we'll be back in a second, we will then answer your questions. So that we have a little bit of structure to the conversation. So we have heard what John had to say. We have heard what Liz had to say. Now I want to know, Fiona, you're usually not on the show. So Fiona is basically representing the every person who's not really necessarily like, as in tune with what superhero movies are today in general, but also especially DC. And so she went to see a movie. She was excited to go see the movie, right? I mean, I'm speaking on your behalf right now, but you let us know, Fiona. And what was your experience like? And did you like it? Did you not like it? Again, no spoilers, but what did you think about Superman?
So, yeah, Dan prefaced this. I really, really wanted to like it. I personally did not enjoy it, but like I said, if like Dan said, maybe if I was a fan of DC and that world, maybe I would have had more to go in with. I would say it's a movie for the fans. I think if you're a fan of it, you should definitely go check it out. But, when I go into work tomorrow and my workers will be like, oh, how is Superman? I'll be like, are you a fan of Superman? If they say not really, I'd be like, maybe you could skip it. But that is just me as everyday person walking in off the streets without having the background in it. And it makes me really sad because I really, really wanted to like it. But I think the reasons I didn't particularly enjoy it were what John had mentioned, which was I felt like the pacing wasn't there. I think the acting was great across the board. I have no problem with any of the acting, but the story didn't really capture me and the pace wasn't there. So as an overall film, I personally did not enjoy it.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense because normally because you know what I feel with this movie? If you really, and I mean really love the comic All-Star Superman, you're going to really love this movie because it feels like even though it doesn't adapt that story, it takes that vignette comic book storytelling and adapts that to the screen. And I think that's more of a negative than a positive for me. I'm not a big fan of vignette storytelling. I think sometimes it can work, sometimes it can't. Like, for instance, I think Quentin Tarantino did it really, really right with Pulp Fiction, but then I think he did it kind of wrong with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And you have to be like a really good writer and a really good director to pull that off. I don't think James Gunn is like top tier writer director to really pull off that style. I would have preferred more of a through line story than
That's okay.
The more vignette story.
Yes. Okay. So this is where let me jump in because I'm the only one on the who hasn't really talked about that so far. By the way, John, I think Liz might need a bit of help with getting back into the show.
Sorry, I keep trying to mute myself and
it's all good. It's all good. So I know, Caleb, you love the vignette format. We've got so many of you guys in the chat. By the way, if you're new to the channel, welcome on in. We're here 5 days a week. Speaking of Universal, if you are the Universal Studios or Universal Pictures, Fiona and I had an experience tonight at the movies, including, well, we didn't think we were going to go see Jurassic World. We thought we were going to see Superman. But anyway, we'll get into that in a little bit. We will talk about, there's a reason why the show started a bit late, and this has to do something with Jurassic World and Universal Pictures. Not the studio's fault. It's fully Regal's fault, which is where we ended up going to see the movie. But here's what I thought about the movie, right? So John and I have been talking about Superman for over a year, right? And we have been super excited. I mean, obviously we have high expectations, right? We wanted to see this movie. It's a new take. It's brand new. It's something. I mean, yes, there's some elements now that we have seen the movie where there's overlaps with previous iterations, but by and large, this movie goes in a direction that I can formally say that we haven't seen Marvel or DC movies, quite frankly, go before. Like there's a sense of reverence and like literally taking the stuff right out of a comic book and bringing it to the screen. Now, as far as what you guys are talking about, what John said, the whole vignette style versus like you will have a big through line. I don't know if I would say this movie did the storytelling in vignette formats, because if you really count the time, like if you really count the time of the movie, like how much time passes by. James Gunn, so this is not a spoiler. Again, no spoilers here today, but this isn't a spoiler because James Gunn mentioned this before the movie came out. He talked about it actually like when they were filming this. They were like, look, the events of this movie take place over the course of a couple of days, which, having seen the movie, those of you who have seen it, those of you who haven't, yes, that is indeed the case, that the events of the film do take place over the course of a couple of days, if you really count the time, right? Like, it's not like from the time we meet Superman at the beginning of the movie to where we are at the end of the movie, it's not even been a week. And it really very much takes place almost in real time as well. But so I don't know if I would call it vignette storytelling, but John, like,
maybe not vignette, but like it feels like this thing happens, then this thing happens,
but let me
happens.
How I will describe it is, in this movie, I was telling Fiona and I were having a conversation on the way back from the movies, right? And I was telling her when you watch a Christopher Nolan movie, even if you don't like Dune, when you watch, or if, let's say, Blade Runner 2049, and you watch a Denis Villeneuve movie, I think even like a movie like Barbie, like even like these Top Gun Maverick, like some of the movies that I like, Fiona and I saw F1 just days ago, right? And so we can even compare to F1, right? You go into something like F1 is a great example because it's so recent. You go into that movie and you see like the pieces connect in a way that like the whole thing sings, right? To me, I'm a producer, I'm an editor, I'm a filmmaker, so I speak from experience when like on a weekly, daily basis, I'm working on things where I'm trying to tell stories. And so what you want to do, we even try to do this on the show here, like we have segments, but we want everything to flow. There should be a reason why we go from one to the next. And in the movie, it felt like, and I think Fiona and I agreed on this, that it's like they had it together at the beginning. The second act starts to drag a bit, and then by the time you get to the third act, they pull the pieces together. But you send the crowd home happy. When the movie ended, if Fiona asked me, and I was like, I thought it was a really good movie. But then, I mean, when you start thinking about it, you start to analyze it. It's not a movie that sings to me, like the pacing. Like, so I know both of us, and I know we're not the only ones. I'm sure you guys will mention in the chat too. You could feel this movie a little bit. Like, when I say feel, it wasn't a smooth ride, especially because it feel like they scattered all these pieces. So I understand some of the criticisms now about this movie is messy or like too many characters. But I also like the idea that this movie feels like it's a world that's lived in, and we're meeting them like in the middle of the action. So I really love that part. I think this Lex Luthor is freaking diabolical. This movie is actually thematically darker in ways than Man of Steel was. This movie in a lot of ways is more violent than Man of Steel was, because I can't spoil this one particular scene in this movie. There's something that happens in this film which even Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan in the Dark Knight movies and in Man of Steel and all of the DCEU even didn't show us in the vivid details that James Gunn did. And I know, Fiona, you mentioned that felt thematically inconsistent with the poppy colors and
the look that was that the tone of the movie.
Yes.
Just something didn't line up for me.
Yes.
The visuals, but then there was a lot of sort of humorous parts. And the look and feel of it, like I said, being more lighthearted, but then there was like some real violence there. So yeah, so something didn't line up that way for me personally.
Yeah. By the way, I know True Boss, you kind of sent you just put in a spoiler in the chat. So I know you guys probably just had it spoiled. We're not going to put it on camera, but please do not put spoilers in the chat.
If you
I
do
know there's
something
a
like that again, you will be put in
please.
timeout.
And again, I know you might have done it because you weren't here when we mentioned we are not talking spoilers today. So I know there's cameos in the movie. We're not going to talk about them today because we want to give a chance to all the people who maybe didn't get the Amazon early Prime screenings to go see the movie. But hey, Swag Fan's here, so hello, Swag Fan. And again, if you did it inadvertently, that's fine, but please do not continue to do that. And again, that goes for anybody. We're here to talk about it in a spoiler-free sense because I know a lot of you people, like Frankie, for example, is not seeing it until the weekend. So, we don't want to spoil the experience for you. But Lex was diabolical. I think for me, Lex he's the most diabolical. There was remember that one scene I just mentioned? After that one scene, Liz, I don't know about you, but I was like, that was my John Wick moment. I'm like, there was a dog indirectly. Well, there was no dog involved in that sequence, but
I know what you mean.
After that
100%.
scene, I was
it was
like,
an innocent.
you can fucking kill Lex Luthor, and I am totally down with it. Don't care how you do it or how fast you get it over with.
Yeah.
And that was there was a John Wick moment, if you guys know what I mean. Liz, what did you think about, again, the comparisons people will make now, considering that James Gunn was talking? I mean, this is still feels like a more upbeat Superman, but I mean, the plot of the movie.
Well, listen, he's a complicated character in a complicated world, dealing with other complicated characters who all have a different sense of how they should function, how they should, be viewed, how they should attack certain situations and address certain situations. So it's a multi-layered story. I had no problem with the myriad of characters that we get. The fact that they all had their own backstory and they were all, pretty built up already in this universe. They all have a relationship in some way or shape with everyone else. I left this. I'm in the theater and I'm like, James Gunn has just created so many more comic book fans. Like, all the little kids that are going to see this film are going to end up like me, who I don't know anything about Mr. Terrific. I don't know anything about Guy Gardner. I don't know anything about Hawkgirl. And I'm in this movie like, I want them to have their own show because I need to know more about them because they're so dynamic and they're really intriguing to me, especially Mr. Terrific. I'm like, I need to understand where this cat is coming from and like what his deal is. Like, I really, really appreciated all of that. Yes, I agree. The pacing at times, and I'm like, because I know we're talking about this after the film. So while I'm watching it, I'm like, don't like the pacing right there. Like, I'm trying to already like process my thoughts in real time.
Right.
So I completely agree with you guys on that. But for me, someone who, again, as we all know, Superman is my favorite superhero of all time. However, I don't read comic books. So unless these characters are introduced to me in the films, in a TV show, which you also know I don't watch, I don't know who they are. I know nothing about them. So I really, really liked the chemistry between the entire cast. I thought the banter was pretty great. Yeah, there was some cheesy lines here and there, but like, again, they're trying to, it's also, at the end of the day, comic books were created for everybody, right? So they need to appeal to everybody. Thankfully, they're not the cheese of Aquaman. Don't get me started. But they did have their moments where, trying to put in some lighthearted stuff here and there because they're trying to make a well-rounded film. And that's what I think this was. Yes, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Yes, there are going to be some moments where you're like, ugh, okay. But at the end of the day, I really couldn't be happier with what we got. And I know I've been all in on this movie for a couple of weeks now, but it truly delivered. And I think James Gunn did one heck of a job. And mark my words, gang, I'm saying it right here. A year from now, there's going to be a statistic that comes out that says the adoption of white dogs has skyrocketed ever since this movie hit theaters. You guys know, Crypto drove me nuts in all the teaser trailers, all the previews. I couldn't stand that freaking dog. I thought that dog was so freaking annoying. I was like, enough with the dog already. They got me. I love that damn dog. I love that stupid dog. Oh my god.
Because it's a dog. You're about that dog, man. Of
he's
course.
The goodest boy. He is the goodest boy, that little shit. James Gunn did it, man. Listen. Again, yes, there were some missteps here or there. I don't understand why robots are wearing capes. Let's just put that out there. I don't understand that part at all. I don't understand why the dog has a cape. But anyway, to see it again.
Oh.
I really can't. I really can't wait to see it again.
Yeah, so let's just quickly okay, we have all your questions, by the way. I know you guys are throwing questions in the chat, so I'm saving it because we're going to get into those in a few minutes. Before we get to the question mark, before the questions, I should say, let's talk about highs and lows, right? So I know we've sort of been talking about it in general terms, but we'll go down the line. Fiona, what was your best part or parts of the movie, and what was your least favorite part or parts of the movie?
Well, obviously, favorite part was Crypto because dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the acting I thought was good. I agree with that. The cast gelled well together. They were believable in their characters. I enjoyed that. And then, yeah, the low for me was, how do I say this without spoiling it? Storyline, I guess. Like some maybe aspects of the action, I'll say. Once we're actually able to have spoilers, I'll be able to say that. But I'll say the action was a low for me.
Yeah. So I'll go next. For me, the high point of the movie, I think everything with Crypto was amazing. I definitely agree with, like, we were hearing this before we got to the movie, that Mr. Terrific was going to be one of the breakout, like, supporting characters, and we do see that. But I also enjoyed, like, Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner, because I thought, like, he did a fantastic job.
He doesn't miss. He just doesn't miss.
And we'll talk more about that in a bit too. But so again, I thought David Cornsweet, like you were just saying, Fiona, the acting, I think David Cornsweet carries this movie in a way that I don't think would have worked with many other picks for the role. Now, granted, there may be some undiscovered actor out there who's even better for this role, but of all the people that they could have picked from that we knew were in the short list, I think David Cornsweet was perfect, because even in the parts of the movie where things weren't working for me, I thought David Cornsweet held it together. Because where there are inconsistencies, David Cornsweet shines through. He's the one through line. So, I think on the thumbnail for today's show, one of the reviews, the snippets I picked out said David Cornsweet is perfect casting. I couldn't agree with that more. As far as the low points for me, the things that I didn't like I mentioned before, and we'll give our ratings as well. But, before we get to that point, I think overall for me, what didn't work was, I think the pacing here was problematic. It felt like, almost like if you start a Monopoly game and you all start in the same part of the game, but then over time things kind of scatter out, and then they quickly at the end, you bring the pieces back together again, and you're like, all right, send the crowd home happy. But when you go back and watch it back in your mind, watch it a second, third time, I think you'll start to realize, well, there's a lot going on in the movie. There's certain things where it's almost felt like James Gunn wrote the movie, then started going in these sprawling directions. Then I was like, oh, I need to pay off all these setups, and did it. And it felt like maybe the script needed more massaging to get it to the point where it really sang. And I'm not saying there was many things in there that, stood out like extraneous, but I did certainly feel like the movie could have had more focus at times, if anything. And then, there were some tonal inconsistencies, which we can only dive into so much without, spoiling it. So we'll wait to talk about them in more detail later in the week. But yeah, so I mean, those were my high points, my low point. I mean, and casting in general was great. I think Lois Lane is more believable than ever with Rachel Brosnahan. And then you go around, the table. I mean, we talked about so many of the actors. Nicholas Hoult, dude, if his job was to make us hate him, and I feel like he accomplished that job halfway through the movie, if not before then. Cocky, arrogant, so full of himself, so sure of himself, and everything that Lex Luthor should be. So yeah, I mean, that was my. I mean, John, what about you?
So the highest highs for me, was definitely the characters in both acting and execution. I thought that for me was the best part of the movie. I thought Clark Kent Superman was well utilized. I thought David Cornsweet did an excellent job. I thought Lois Lane was great, and Rachel Brosnahan did a great job. I thought Skylar Gisondo for me was probably as Jimmy Olsen was my favorite character outside of Superman and like the main three contingent of Nicholas Hoult, Rachel Brosnahan, and David Gordon-Sweat. I liked Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner a lot, but I wouldn't say Mr. Terrific like stole the movie. A lot of people were like, "Oh my god, he was like the best part. He stole the movie." I don't think so. I thought he was very, very good, and I thought Eddie Gathegi was great, but I don't think that he was like, "Oh my god, best part of the movie." I don't think so. But I will say that action sequence, yeah, that was great. So for me, I thought the highest of highs was the characters in regards to the acting and the execution. The lowest was the pacing and the editing for me as well. Actually, well, the lowest low for me is something I can't say because it spoils the movie. But the lowest thing I can talk about personally is the pacing and editing was, I felt, very wonky and very off.
Yeah. And Liz, so let's just continue on with our highs and lows. What was your high, low? Where do you think this movie struggled? Where do you think it succeeded?
Yeah, again, the highs for me were just the cast interactions, just the way everybody played off each other so well. The chemistry between everybody was phenomenal. Even Lex versus Superman, just that dynamic was really fantastic and kept things moving along quite nicely. Again, we know we start kind of in the middle of this story, and the writing, they did a really good job. I didn't feel lost at any point. I didn't feel confused at any point. Again, I'm familiar with Superman, but I'm not a part of this world really. I don't know these characters, and I didn't feel like I had to like Google some information afterward when I left the film. The low part for me again was some pacing, just certain kind of goofy things, but again, it's not Aquaman, so I don't care. I will say this is probably my favorite Superman film since the Christopher Reeve era. I love Henry Cavill. I was never a huge fan of the Superman movies, of Man of Steel. I wasn't a fan of Batman vs Superman, any of those. And this has really brought me back after a lot of DC stinkers. I'm really looking forward to the next phase with the DC universe.
I mean, I feel like that's
I agree with Manos
Liz is a huge Marvel
as
fan.
well. I agree with Manos Time. I think this movie could have benefited from like 15 more minutes, like just to flesh out some scenes here and there, to really like fill it out, to make sure it like has that like proper flow. I think it could have benefited. Maybe it was, Crypto getting punched. Who knows? But like, I think no, I mean, you're probably gonna hate it because you hate anything good. So like,
no.
I will also say a low for me, which was, it was really kind of a surprise, and I can't really be honest about it without giving some serious shit away. There was a revelation in the film, and that for me was kind of a low, because it was one of those like, I had never heard the story told that way, and I was really shocked. I think I know what you're
talking about, and that was my lowest low, and I can't fucking wait to rant about it when Friday comes along, because I'm gonna rant about it.
Are we all talking about the same thing, John? Are we talking about the same thing?
I think
we probably are.
Yeah.
Is it that John?
The big reveal, basically.
Yeah.
You're talking about the big reveal. This is later in the I'm talking about the John Wick moment.
No, I'm saying for me it was a low because no, that's not it. I'm saying for me it was a low just because of the
my
fact
show,
that
I could do what I want. Shut up, geeky guy.
But Justin Geeky Guy does look. We will get into that. The movie's gonna hit everybody differently, right? I think what I want to do here is, the watcher already saw it at the premiere in LA and then just saw it again. So I know some of you guys have already seen it a couple of times. So we've been collecting your questions. I know you guys are going to keep sending in questions, and we'll try to get to everything over the course of the show. If you miss any, we'll circle back to it later. But we have collected the questions. Let's go through them. I think I want to start out with the most recent ones put in because they're most relevant to what we have just been talking about. Then we'll work our way through everything. So the first question that we've got here is Jalen. And I mean, anybody on the panel can jump in and answer these. But we'll have to keep the answers short because we have a lot of questions. So Jalen saying, would you guys say it is better for it to have been an origin story again rather than what we got, which is year 3 Superman?
So over it. Well, and again, that's what has been keeping people like me from all of these other characters. Let's stop going back to the same well. We all know Superman's origin story. We all know Batman's origin story. We know Spider-Man's origin story. Like, no, I'm so over that shit, and I'm so happy that they didn't do that. They give us a little synopsis, but you don't need it. You don't need it.
Yeah. Well, I think we will get very. I don't think everybody on the panel can answer every question right now, but I'll just add my 2 cents to that one. I don't think it would have mattered if it was an origin story or not, if it would be a better movie or not, because I mean that doesn't really address some of the concerns that I had. For example, the Watcher simply asking us, "Did y'all love it? Did you?"
Not all of us did, but
not all of us.
I loved it.
I loved
Liz
it.
loved it. John loved it. I had a mostly positive reaction to it, so I would say maybe it got way more than a passing grade, but it wasn't a perfect movie for me. So I definitely have some significant concerns about it. But yeah, is it better than Man of Steel? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yes or no
Yeah.
answers for that?
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Don't recall.
Okay. Fiona doesn't even remember seeing Man of Steel. I'm gonna say that I actually enjoy Man of Steel more. I think Man of Steel is the better movie from all the issues that I have with this movie, as well as because I didn't have the same problems that a lot of people have a tone with that movie. I thought that movie was overall, the dialogue was better written, it was better structured, it was longer, but it flowed better. And I actually like the visual style of Zack Snyder. And I think the VFX are far cleaner than anything that we got in this movie, and not saying the VFX in this movie are great. There are a few times where it gets wonky, and which everybody else that I've read, most people are saying that they do get a bit wonky in some places. But for me personally, subjectively speaking, I prefer Man of Steel. All right.
I will say there was one scene that is just so freaking James Gunn. And we did speculate what exactly was going on when we were going through the trailers and the teaser trailers. Because again, it's a universe that has known superheroes and known aliens and invaders and bad guys and villains. So, naturally, characters are going to be walking amongst a potential.
Liz will be back. John, do you agree? Well, actually, let's move on to the next question. But we have Angelica in the chat as well now. Derpy just showed up. So let's
chat. Like and subscribe, y'all. Like and subscribe.
Please do.
Like and subscribe.
Helps us out a ton.
Sorry,
finish what you were saying.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Finish what you were saying before.
I was just saying, so I'm in the theater, like processing all of my thoughts in real time, and I'm like, and this scene crops up where characters are just living their life and continuing on with their conversation while there's some stuff happening in the background, and it just cracked me up because I was like, well, yeah, if that is your reality, that's what you would be doing. It's just another day in Metropolis. Like I just loved it. I really dug it because again, it really encompasses this is the reality for the people in this world. So I thought that was pretty funny. And hopefully you guys know which scene I'm talking about when you see it yourselves. So
yeah. All right, let's keep going. Steven with the question. Dan and John, what's your message to Jeff Snyder, who said it wasn't good in test screenings? John?
It's entirely possible that there were very early test screenings that weren't good. Maybe it felt sloppier or messier and didn't work for people. That's entirely possible. But that's the point of a test screening, and you test it. Yeah. It's like, it didn't do well. Let's cut this scene. Let's cut this thing. Let's cut that thing. That's kind of the point. So, and
I know James Gunn mentioned that they actually cut out a scene for Crypto because it didn't test well. So, like Liz was saying, there's obviously been a lot of testing on this movie. By the way, I don't think any of them have said it so far. Clark's parents in this movie, a big part of the film, a bigger part than I expected them to be. I thought they were amazing. I love Ma and Pa Kent in this movie. And they couldn't have been more different from what we got in Man of Steel. So again, to let you guys know, as I love Man of Steel, I think it's a better movie just sitting with this movie only an hour or so since we've seen it. I still think Man of Steel is better, but obviously, there's a bit of bias there. I've seen Man of Steel a million times, and I've sat with it for a lot longer. But I still think Ma and Pa Kent in this movie were fantastic. What did you like?
It was a completely different vibe from definitely other mom pause, and it did feel more believable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And like I've said it, even though I personally did not enjoy the film, I did think the acting and the casting was well overall. I thought that part was good about it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, keep going with the questions. I know, Caleb, you have this question for John, but we can't really get into what you're asking without spoiling things, so we will have to wait to answer that till later. But we'll get around to it. I know you're asking also about Ultraman. Yes, we do find out who Ultraman is in the movie. We will not tell you that right now. I mean, you might have gotten a spoil for you online anyway, but it wasn't the most. I mean, when it happens in the story, it's not very consequential. The reveal of who Ultraman is, because at that point in the story, because the thing is, it's like a bad. It's because to me, I was like, if they were going for shock value, they didn't accomplish it, because as somebody who's familiar with with DC and the stories of Superman, I was like, okay, cool. Like narratively, it basically, I don't think it was a very consequential reveal. So to me, it kind of landed a bit flat. But the movie still, works well, and third act is still really good. But anyway, did we see Dan Murrell's review? No, PLO, I haven't seen it yet, but I know you guys have been talking about it, so I'm sure it will come up again. The concern about overcrowding, was that legit? Like, were there too many people, too many characters? Was there too much going on? Liz, do you agree with that? Do you think there was overcrowding?
No, not at all. They all played well off one another, and again, it establishes a well-rounded universe that's already in play, that they have a history, they are known to one another, they are in each other's orbit on occasion, sometimes they have conflict. I had no problem with it at all. I loved everybody. And everybody brought their damn A game. Can I tell you? I'm so impressed with the cast.
Did you think it was overcrowded, Fiona? Because Fiona, again, like the every person who isn't a big fan of DC or comic book movies in general.
Well, and I've seen other comic book movies and felt that, and I didn't actually feel that in this. Once again, trying to say that I'm like, without spoiling it.
Yeah.
I do wish there were more scenes with certain characters together. And I think that would have maybe helped some things move along pacing wise.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel it was overcrowded.
I personally think the movie wasn't necessarily overcrowded. It's just the pieces could have, I mean, for the most part, the pieces fit well with where they were in the story. But I think there were some areas, especially like when I talk about the pacing of the movie, it wasn't overcrowded so much as the movie had an issue where the pieces kind of like felt scattered at times. And ultimately, like putting them all together, when they did it, it felt kind of clunky in the third act, which again, John's saying it could be you can look at it as an editing thing. It could be more like just the way the script was written, how it was directed. I mean, James Gunn obviously sitting in the editing room with the editor, so it's like ultimately James Gunn is responsible for that too. Fiona, based on watching this movie, are you looking forward to Supergirl next year?
Is Supergirl going to be a movie or a TV show?
It's a movie.
Because sometimes they mix that up.
It's a movie, yeah.
It's a fair question.
How do I not spoil eggs?
The
Supergirl that I saw in this. Am I excited to see her?
Spoiler alert. Okay. Sorry, this is the one exception to the spoiler-free rule.
Well, I mean, we know. We
knew. That's fair. We know Kara's in the movie. We won't tell you where, when, or how she is in the movie, but
yeah,
based on what you saw.
Based on what I saw, not particularly.
Not particularly. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I know John kind of is in the same boat.
I'm on the. Here's the thing. I will say on the Supergirl movie, I have been on the fence for a long time.
Exactly, John. Yeah.
I am not. It is known I am not a Tom King fan. In fact, when his name came up in the credits, I literally yelled, "Tom King sucks!" And like, no, it was quiet. Like nobody agreed with me. Nobody clapped. And the dude next to me, like, dude, it's just the credits. Calm down. I'm like, all right, fucking loser, get out of here. But I've been on the fence. Like, it's like, the thing is, I have not seen Millie Alcock in anything. Craig Gillespie's hit and miss. Anna Nogueira is a first-time screenwriter. And so I've been on the fence. I am still on the fence. I want it to be good, but I don't. I think I
looking
need
forward
like
to
a
it.
couple days to really sit on it because I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know.
And again, to quickly address the idea, we have talked about on this show that Supergirl's in the movie. I think James Gunn himself confirmed it before the movie came out. So yes, that is something that has been known before the movie came out. We're not going to tell you when, where, or how much she may or may not be in the movie, but she is in the movie. It's been known from before. She's actually, if you go on HBO Max, it lists Millie Alcock in the credits already for when it's going to land on that streaming platform.
But again, for someone like me who knows nothing about her connection, her storyline, I left with a lot more questions and very intrigued. And now I was like, because quite frankly, when we were talking about the Supergirl movie, I was like, maybe I'll see it. Maybe, again, got to wait for a trailer, blah, blah, blah. The little bit that we have of her in this film, again, not saying anything else, I'm looking forward to it now. I can't wait. I'm all in.
Yeah. Thank you, Just Some Geeky Guy, for the super chats. Again, we really appreciate any of you guys are welcome to throw in a super chat if you're liking the conversation. Support the show. That we love that. And thank you, Just Some Geeky Guy.
For $1 a day, gang. For $1 a day.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know a lot of you guys are asking about the outfit and stuff. Yes, her outfit is basically the stuff that we have seen in the set photos from Supergirl. So it is the same as, but that's, again, something that's out there on the internet. So no more than that. But to answer that question, the post-credit scenes, there were 2 post-credit scenes. That's something that we have known about, and they weren't very consequential to the movie itself, but they're still worth sticking around for. If you're a fan of DC, definitely stick around. And we saw both of them.
If you liked the movie, stick around. If you felt you didn't care for the film, you thought maybe it was mid, you don't need to stay. I would put it in those terms.
Yep. Okay, Jalen asking, what would you like to see better in a Superman sequel? John, what would you like to see better in a Superman sequel?
I want like a better editor and a better writer. Oh,
you mean James Gunn can't write a good Superman movie?
No, I'm just
I
saying,
have a problem with the writing.
I would say, okay.
You're just getting poking the bear now.
I'm gonna say this.
He said it, not
Here's
me.
the thing. Don't screen your movie for Damon Lindelof because his opinion literally doesn't fucking matter. So just don't do that again.
James Gunn, screen it for us. Screen it for us.
Screen it for us. And we'll be like, hey, bro, you need to work on this. You need to work on that.
And we all have varying opinions, so you could probably really button it up.
You're getting everybody. So, I mean, he does kind of suck. Like, I'm still gonna read Woman of Tomorrow before the movie comes out, so because I'm curious. But everything I've read of him has either been like okay at best or crap. So,
I would just say we have to keep going here. But what I would say is overall, better Superman. We can ask for a million different things. Everybody's gonna have a different list. I think just in general, better pacing, like you said, the editing. I agree with most of what John said. Couple of quick questions here. Is Ultraman Henry Cavill?
We're not spoiling.
We won't tell you who.
We're not
but
telling
it's not
you
Henry
nothing.
Cavill. Yeah,
I'm not telling you nothing.
I'm just gonna put it out there for people who are It's not Henry Cavill. Who is it? We won't tell you.
I kind of wish it was because that would have been hilarious. But then all the Snyder Bros would be like, "Are you saying Henry Superman's a villain?"
There's
James Gunn did give a nod to the Snyder Bros in this film. If you guys catch it, let me know when you catch it. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we can throw in anything we want right now. Ultraman was Daniel Craig. That's why he stopped James Bond, you guys. He's moving over
Ultraman
to DC
is
now.
I made a secret cameo in the movie, and you guys don't know. They just did a face
Ultraman
swap.
was Zack Snyder.
Also,
that would be dope. If it was Zack Snyder, I would totally.
I did want to mention this.
But anyway,
okay, to you guys, throughout many parts of this movie, was it just me, or did David Cornsweet give a lot of Brendan Fraser vibes throughout most of this movie.
Fair. That's fair.
That is fair.
That
He
is
did-
fair. And you
I
know
would
what?
agree with you.
His eyes
Yeah.
were wonky, like in real life. It wasn't poor CGI. Like he does have wonky eyes apparently when he looks up. But I don't know. So okay. But hey man, he did a damn fine job, that David. And it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, David.
There is
Happy birthday,
one
David
shot.
Cornsweat.
Yes, it is his birthday.
Oh my God,
Happy
first
birthday,
one, yeah.
David Cornsweat. I'm like, oh my God, it's his birthday. And I got so excited.
Yes. Manos Time agrees with us on that. By the way,
No,
Smacky asking,
100%. That's super accurate, John. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good description.
There is, I do want to mention it after the stream, because again, it's a spoiler. There is 2 shots, because they were both in the 3rd act, that gave me like, oh, oh my God, that's Brendan Fraser. Oh my God, that's him
He
reincarnated.
actually went like that. I love it, John.
I'm like, oh my God.
I can't take it.
Like,
I can't take this.
hi, welcome
I'm
back,
getting
Brendan.
the vapors. Oh.
There were 2 shots that reminded me of it, but obviously I can't say them. But like, I'm gonna mention it to you guys after the stream to see what you guys think.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
What was your favorite character in the film?
Crypto.
No, dude, I want to
Jimmy Olsen.
Terrific, but genuinely, like,
Dude,
Guy Gardner brought it, dude. Mr. Terrific was so great, and Metamorpho, I really dug him. Like, I want to know more about his deal. Like, dude, I had such a good time.
but John, if you can find a photo of somewhere of Jimmy Olsen, like I'm sure he's on IMDb
Yeah, Jimmy
somewhere.
Olsen too was
I wanna
enjoyable.
I want to quickly mention, but like I think my favorite character was probably tied between David Cornsweat and Crypto. 2 of the best
Yeah.
parts of the movie.
I mean, Lois
but
Lane was
dude-
great too. Everybody was
Lois Lane was- yeah,
everybody
Lois
was
Lane was great too,
good.
yes.
Everybody
Yeah.
was good.
Both Superman and Clark Kent were both good.
Yeah. Turns out it's the same guy. Spoiler alert. I mean, I don't know. You guys probably knew that already. But anyway, I will say though, John, I don't know if you found the photo yet, but
Yeah,
dude, they weren't kidding about Jimmy got game. I mean,
He
even
does.
doesn't know
Sure
he
do.
got
He
game.
slays.
Sure do.
Like what?
He fucking slays.
Sure do.
This was,
Absolutely.
you know what it was? That whole Jimmy, and we won't tell you who with that whole vibe, which it seems like by the end of the movie he warms up
And
to. That
by the
whole
way,
vibe reminded me.
Niccolo.
Fun fact,
Okay,
that
hold on.
is actually really comic accurate too. Jimmy Olsen gets pussy in the comics. He does, like 100%. He
DCU Daily
absolutely
After Dark.
fucking does.
Yo,
Okay.
but speaking of though, so like yesterday there was commentary on the chat about
There he
you know
is.
the chemistry between Lois Lane and Superman, and how
Yes,
like
look at
in
that
real
face.
life they're gonna get divorced, like because the chemistry was so fire. Like genuinely in this film, it was the first time that I was like, oh, Superman fucks.
Oh my god, are
Like,
we getting
it was
anyone
like,
but her
what?
vibes again? Like Jesus.
I'm just gonna say about what I was saying before. Like I didn't realize Jimmy had game like that, but also
Yeah, dude.
that whole dynamic between him and the person that we're not mentioning because you don't want to spoil who it is that he's
Mhm.
got game.
Actually, Clark Kent.
Okay.
They actually fully
No,
make out
No.
in this.
Okay, hold on. What I'm saying is, it reminded you guys tell me this, but it was the closest thing to the 3rd Transformers movie, and when they replaced Megan Fox with Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, and
I never saw it, so I don't know.
what's the main kid? Well,
I did, but I'm trying to remember what you're talking about. You're talking about Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf
Yeah.
and the chick that they brought in for the one Transformers movie before Mark Wahlberg comes in.
Was she blonde?
I was
That
like,
blonde chick?
yes. I
Okay.
was like, that was deja vu for me in that sense. But anyway, maybe not from the story perspective. Christian, we're going to actually get to that in a minute. Let me save your comment. By the way, hello, welcome on into the chat, Christian. Okay, let's keep going. We got to get through these a bit faster. Was the ending amazing? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Dan
No,
Frankie?
don't ask me first.
John, how about you? Was the ending amazing?
I have to think about it for a second. Hang on. I'm like blank.
Okay,
The ending.
Liz.
Hang on.
I'm gonna say
Liz.
yes, but I will also say it's a predictable ending. It's a classic Superman kind of ending.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I like it. I don't know if
okay.
it was like amazing or anything, but I think it works for the context of the story, and I liked it. I don't know, like, oh my
Okay.
god, the ending was great. I think it was a good ending.
Good ending, not amazing. Okay, I will say the ending was. The resolution was better than the climax. take that for what you will. We will talk about it in more details later in the week. What about
I don't
you?
know what's so
I agree with John.
controversial about it. Because I remember
no.
saying, "Oh, it's a controversial ending." I'm like, "What's controversial about it?"
Yeah, what?
Because I remember
wouldn't
we were
get
talking
that.
about that. Was it yesterday or last week? They're like, "Oh, the ending is controversial." It's like, what's controversial about it?
I don't know. Okay, well, that's not a question on today's show, but I'm sure we'll get back into that later. But just to answer your question, Caleb, it seems like mixed reactions amongst this panel, at least.
I always get pointed out.
Well,
Fiona,
no.
the
I'm
one
talking
person mixing it up.
everybody. Again, my hand doesn't extend beyond the window of video here. But what was your message to Jeff Snyder, who said it wasn't good in test screenings? Well, I'll just simply answer that question by saying, Stephen, that it clearly shows this movie was tested, and I know Liz hinted at it earlier that it may have been over tested. So that might be something that the movie has had to worry about, and clearly you can kind of see some of the effects of that here. Enterprising asking, so the concerns about overcrowding were legit. We already answered that question, but yeah, I mean, it seems like depending on who you ask, Liz thinks no.
I don't think so either.
John and I sort of. I mean, Fiona clearly says no.
I don't think so. I don't think it was overcrowded at all.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying we answered that question already. I think I brought it up second time. But Foster asking, so the story is bad?
No, I don't think so.
It just didn't come together for me. It's not. I don't think the story is inherently bad.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's what we've been saying, or John put it more eloquently than me. It's the edit of it.
Yeah.
That
I mean, I
think
did go to school for this, so I know how to make that work. But
right. It makes the two of us on it. But yes, no, I agree with you. That's exactly what I think.
You also
John
have
and
an
I are pointing out the
understanding of
same
it
thing.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think the story was bad either. I think.
But again,
it was
I
more
understand why people wouldn't
scattered.
like this movie. This isn't the greatest thing. I mean, I spoiler alert for my top 10 of the year. It's in my top 10. It's not even in my top 5. Not even in my top 3. So, I would say it's in my top 10 of the year, but that could change. Honestly, there's still a lot of really fucking good movies.
For me, I'm just
it's just
I'm just putting it along the line with every other DC film. And quite frankly, as it stands right now, this is the best DC film I've seen in a very, very long time. However, it could be because I'm a Marvel stan and this dude did it in Marvel first. You know what I mean? I might be biased by accident, but for me, this is exactly what I love to see in a film. I thought he did a really good job. Again, I can't stand the Aquaman films. I just think it's a layer of cheese throughout for 2 hours, and I
hated the second one. I thought the first one was one of the best.
It's just
DC
cringe as shit.
movies.
So for this, I'm very happy.
Yes, fair enough. So again, I don't think the story is ultimately the problem in the movie at all. If it had at all a problem to begin with, I think the story ultimately, the editing made it feel a bit scattered. Maybe the sense of direction. I think one of you guys mentioned, maybe add an extra 15-20 minutes. It helps clean things up a bit. How was the score? Did you guys even notice the score?
So good.
John Murphy fucking killed it.
So good.
Fucking killed it.
Did you notice it? What did you think about it?
I didn't particularly notice it. There wasn't anything that I felt emotional about. I feel like when I watch a film, the music helps add to the emotional parts for me.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't really anything that hit me particularly emotionally with the music. Was there any particular songs that you guys felt the emotions?
I really liked the leitmotif of the original Superman theme. I thought that worked as helped bring in those really big grounding moments. I will say though, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but the villain theme for many, I don't know if it was the Lex Luthor theme, but the villain theme for, I think it was Ultraman. It might have been the generic villain theme. I don't know. It sounded like a bit in the House in a Heartbeat from 28 Days Later, which John Murphy did. So I noticed that. I'm like, that. I don't know if that's an homage, like a wink and a nod from John Murphy, because that's his most famous song that he's ever done. for a score, or if it was just like, kind of like a repetition, like, oh, this vibe, and so it worked for this too.
I will say
Yeah.
yesterday Dan had pointed out one particular soundbite that everybody kind of just kept replaying over and over again once James put out the score and the soundtrack. So when I heard it in the film, I was like, oh, okay, I get it, and I get why it's so popular, and I get why everybody likes it. It fit really well for what that's in. I'm just going through the chat here, and Antonio, you're right. I love the Batman. Yes, I did see the Batman. I love the Batman. I actually said this about the Batman, that it's the best DC film I've seen in a while. So yeah, sorry. I always kind of put them in two separate categories, Superman and Batman, so that's my own fault. And then there was another one, was the editing at the level of Tenet, because I know there was complaints about that. And Antonio saying he's a big fan of Tenet. I was a big fan of Tenet too, but I
don't think Tenet has editing problems so much as that most people don't understand the concept of entropy and how it's because it's not intuitive to the human mind.
Yeah.
That's a longer conversation, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a fair comparison, but I do think there's.
It's an interesting point, though. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, but like going back to the score thing, I'm just gonna simply say this: the fact that John couldn't pick out some of the pieces of music from like which scene or which character they were for. I don't think that the soundtrack in this is going to be the best soundtrack of any movie this month. I think actually Fantastic Four is going to have the better soundtrack far and away.
I think you're right. I mean,
I think
like John
F1
Murphy's
had an
great.
amazing soundtrack.
F1 soundtrack is actually better.
Yeah,
F1
F1, I
soundtrack
mean,
is
it's
better.
Hans Zimmer. Here's the thing.
Yes,
It's sandwiched
Hans Zimmer.
like. Oh, here's the thing.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
John Murphy is
I
a
didn't know that.
very great composer, but you're sandwiched between Hans motherfucking Zimmer and Michael motherfucking Giacchino.
Yeah.
Who, by the way,
it seemed the
both of-
lesser out of the three.
I mean, John, both of those names were on the tier list. John Murphy was not
Was
on the
not.
tier list
That's
of
true.
the GOAT
And
composers.
the thing is, I hate to say because like John Murphy is great. That dude is very talented, and I love the rock-esque soundtrack here. I think it worked. However, Michael Giacchino and Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not. I just think this is one thing where, look, DC has historically had the best soundtracks in the game, and I feel like James Gunn is bringing over some lesser talent from his Marvel days, because I know the MCU, outside of, you can count them on one hand, there's not many themes in the MCU that are iconic.
I mean,
So,
Alan Silvestri's like Avengers is like
the
biggest
Avengers
one.
one, iconic. So I do believe the score was lacking. I mean, unfortunately, outside of a couple of pieces of music, I thought that the score is not gonna. It doesn't hold up nearly to the original Superman
I mean,
theme.
here's the thing: when you're
The
comparing
soundtrack
it,
doesn't compare to Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel stuff.
when you're comparing it to
so-
John Williams and Hans Zimmer, that's like almost
It's
really
not
unfair.
fair.
But it's like out of the it is lesser than those two. I mean, John Williams created like some of the greatest film scores of the 20th century for those films. So it's like, of course. And Hans
Black
Zimmer
Panther
is,
really
a,
good
is a
too.
modern legend. So, I don't remember a single piece of music from Black Panther except for
Bro,
I
what?
do.
like African
What?
drums.
What is it,
Kendrick?
dude?
What?
Black Panther
General
is one of the
Kendrick?
best.
What?
That
I don't-
whole
I don't-
soundtrack was amazing. It's probably one of the
I
best
don't
things Marvel
remember a
has put
single
together.
thing about it.
Okay.
Dude, Spider-Verse,
finish
Into
your
the
thought, John.
Spider-Verse, that's the best soundtrack.
Yeah, that
The
was
Amazing
really good.
Spider-Man 2 also had Hans Zimmer. The movie wasn't as good, but the track was great.
Yeah,
But okay, so the score, I think we can agree, wasn't I mean, again, you can like and love the score. I just think when you were playing that game of comparison, though, which again people will talk about, I think on its own it works, but I don't really notice it. The score didn't elevate the movie in the way that the best scores do. Like, the Darth Vader theme. When the rebellion or the resistance or the rebellion is like coming to the rescue of Han or whatever. So like it's in Star Wars, in Jurassic World when they play the like you can recognize those. 007, James Bond, like you know these themes. Man of Steel, like what are you gonna do? We are still 12 years later. People might not know what happened in Man of Steel, but when I say what are you gonna do when you're not saving the world? And that theme, the last Superman theme with Henry Cavill, you don't feel the same about this one. But anyway, I think we can have a longer conversation about that. I didn't really understand that question from Jordan because I didn't know what the paw print signatures from Ozu Is that news, or are you kind of speculating? But we will come back to that later once I figure out what that is. Enterprising asking, do you think that the film reviews will go down by the weekend or be steady around the 80s? Because currently the Rotten Tomatoes and scores in the 80s. Sean, I don't know if you can pull that up. We can take a look at where it stands. I'm just going to answer that question quickly. I think based on what we have seen so far, it's already got enough reviews to be certified fresh, which generally means they're not expecting the score to drop all that much. So what I would say is you can expect this movie to stay in the 80s. So that overall,
I think it'll stay in the 80s. I think it might dip a bit more because it did start off at 91 and it dipped 5%. So I think it'll dip. I think it'll maybe be around either my prediction of 81 or maybe a little bit higher than that, like 84. Like I think it'll be in that vein. I think it'll still dip a little bit, but it won't be like super high, you know?
Which is fair. I mean, and look, 86 right now is where it's been holding for the last few hours. And I think pretty much all the first round of reviews are in. So I don't think it's going to change much. All right. So moving on to the next question. Johnny was asking, did it have more of a vibe of Justice League Unlimited, which was the animated show from the early 2000s?
Yes.
John and I have seen the show. I think we agree with that. Lizz and Fiona, I
couldn't tell you.
No clue. All right, cool. No, so we agree with, yes. John and I
absolutely. Well, Superman the animated series, yes, it definitely feels like an episode.
Exactly, which is what people were saying in the social media reactions. Universal earlier said, unfortunately, the majority of the Superman reviews are not amazing. That's actually categorically false because when you look at the score, 86% of the critics out of, what is that, 144 so far? 86% of 144, somebody do the math, how many that is, gave it a positive review. It's certified fresh. It qualifies. So
there is a way to fan reactions. There it is.
Yes. As far as fan reactions go, we won't really know until a couple of days later because the movie's technically not officially out yet. We are still just talking early previews. All right. So is this the new Lex, the most evil that we've ever seen in live action? Caleb is asking.
Yeah, dude.
Don.
Maybe. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Okay. Liz thinks yes.
He's pretty unhinged. I mean, it's kind of a hard comparison to make if you're trying to compare, you know, like Gene Hackman's Lex, because it was just such a different time, a different story. Like they couldn't make him like that because they were trying to make it.
He has a lot of moments like the scene, like they definitely snuck some stuff in there where it was like where Eve Tessmacher was like, oh, but when he's sending the missiles out and she's like, oh, my mom lives in New Jersey. He's like, yeah, so fuck you. And that's gives true. That vibe that still gives that like sort of like diabolicalness to Lex. Yeah. I still think, and it's a shame I have to say this because he is a horrible, horrible human being, but I still think Kevin Spacey is probably the best on-screen Lex that I've seen. I think overall, like he was menacing, but like he still had those corny moments, but he felt more menacing to me than Nicholas Hoult because he went a little bit too far mad scientist at points. I still liked it, and I still think it works in the context of the movie. But for me personally, I think Kevin Spacey did a better job. It's just he's stuck in a lesser movie than this.
Yeah,
so that's fair.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, moving on to the next thing. But did you have anything to add to that, Fiona?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, I already said this was probably my favorite Lex Luthor I've seen, even though I really do like, previous iterations. But anyway, Antonio saying, did the movie, y'all opinion, need another 20 minutes or just make the story? Basically, Antonio was asking, could this movie have been better if it had another 15, 20 minutes of story?
Yeah, I think we're kind of all in agreement about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on from that one, Smacky asking, do you think Gunn will grow from this experience and be better in the future?
Yes. I'm gonna say yes, even though he's kind of digging his heels in right now. Yeah. Like he has been asked about some of the negative reviews, and he's like, it's not for everybody. Don't care. But I think he will take what fans are saying to heart because we already know before this film came out, he was reading everything. He's paying attention. So I think he'll take the notes for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the fans' opinions matter to him more than the critics. And ultimately, yes, this is not a perfect movie. So hopefully James Gunn, being a good storyteller and somebody who clearly is in tune with the fan base. We talk about him like being incessantly online. Hopefully, whatever criticisms he gets for this movie, he will be able to, work with. Okay. Jordan was asking box office numbers. Jordan, I'm going to save your comment because we do have to talk about that later in the show. So if you're still watching, stick around. We will talk about that after we finish the review part of the show. But just some geeky guy said in the super chat, so let's definitely talk about that. Thank you again for your super chat, just some geeky guy. Did the film have forced humor, and did James Gunn turn Superman into a comedian? Because that's my big concern.
No,
I think no.
If anything, he was like the butt of jokes a lot of the time.
But the thing is, he doesn't he's dorky. Like even as Superman.
Yeah, he's not trying to impress anyone either. So he's not, he doesn't have like that swagger, like they left all of that to Guy Gardner. You know what I mean? Yeah. Superman's role is to come in.
There was one scene that made me, I loved it so much. Again, I'm not gonna, it's in the third act.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was great. And I don't think it was forced. I think it was natural. And there's different kinds of humor.
Yeah.
Like you kind of had the Clark Kent shucks kind of humor.
Yeah, he was the good old boy.
Guy Gardner was a dick, and Lois Lane was, as she put it, like kind of like a punk rock, doesn't give a fuck vibe of kind of like drier kind of humor. And then you had Alan Tudyk's for Superman Robot being like very like stoic straight man kind of humor. So it had, I think for him only one joke landed, and it flowed. Like I think it felt very natural. The humor did, at least. I think that really ebbs and flows and all that.
I would say that the humor wasn't forced, although Alan Tudyk's Superman Robot number 4, there was only one funny thing he said that actually landed for me, which was towards the end of the movie. Everything else, the humor was like, I kind of smiled and laughed, but it wasn't like the very last one for me was like, okay, all right, that one was legitimately like made me like cackle. But anyway, thank you again, just some geeky guy, for your super chat. Martel asking, was Mr. Terrific great?
Yeah,
hell
sure was. He needs his own movie.
Eddie Gathegi, even though I still love X-Men First Class, they did Darwin fucking dirty in that movie. They literally killed the unkillable fucking mutant, and it's still bullshit to this day. Again, great movie, still bullshit. But I think he definitely has like he definitely. Well, the thing is, I feel like Guy Gardner had like douchey swagger. He had like cool swagger. Like he had like genuine swagger. He's like a scientist and he's really smart, but he doesn't give off that vibe. And I feel like they really nailed that in terms of Mr. Terrific. You brought that dog.
Dog, man.
So yeah, good. Mr. Terrific. Yeah. I'm not in the crowd of like, oh my god, he's the best part of the movie, but I think he's still really, really great.
He held his own for sure.
Yeah. I think Mr. Terrific was terrific. I was gonna say fantastic, but that I feel like Mr. Terrific was terrific. He was a good part of the movie. I think at this point I'm okay with him leading his own project if that's what they decide to do. Anything else that you want to add on Mr. Terrific?
I don't know if he would lead his own thing, but I thought he was good in this.
I want his shoes.
Yeah, those look awesome.
I want his jacket. Okay. Yeah. Jose had a question early on. So sorry, Jose, we got to it so late. Is the action lacking?
And I said absolutely not. No.
I think we might have answered this, but no, I don't think so.
We did. But no siree, Bob. Action was great.
Fiona, did you feel like action was lacking?
For me, yes.
There was more talking and
damn girl, what more do you need?
I'll say that it was the type of action, and I can't talk about it without spoiling.
Yeah.
So
fair enough. Yeah.
I think the particular
we know at one point I did
personally not enjoy.
We know at one point they're in a stadium and there was a part in that fight sequence that I really, really dug.
Yeah. I mean, we knew we were going to get a
really
full
didn't dug it, but like
that,
I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't know.
I'll do it.
And I'll have
put
to
it in
like
our private
talk
chat.
about like off screen because it's
Yeah.
hard. I can't explain it without spoiling. So
Yeah. I don't think the action was lacking. I do believe that some of the shots that we thought were going to look wonky like this did look wonky in the movie. So other than that, I don't think the action was lacking. I thought it was fun. I just think action choreography, though, I'm not a Zack Snyder stan. I will say Zack Snyder films action better than James Gunn movies do in general. But that's not to say I think James Gunn did a fantastic job here. A lot of the action sequences were great. I just think in terms of the elegance of let's just say, I don't know, that's a relative term. I felt like the Zack Snyder Superman action scenes were better shot, although again, very much more colorless compared to the James Gunn version, and the cinematography, the framing, and everything Zack Snyder always does well. So but if you're looking at it just on its own, the action here was not lacking. There was plenty of action. To be honest, I felt like I needed to rev my brain from 0 to 100 a lot faster at the beginning of the movie than I thought I would, and if that goes to tell you anything about the action. There was a lot of action.
Yeah, maybe lacking isn't the right word because there's plenty of action in it.
Yeah.
I just personally did not enjoy the action sequences. Let's put it that way.
So it's more of a quality versus quantity thing for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The focus of it I didn't enjoy.
Got it.
That's fair. I feel like there was a particular focus to the action that I did not enjoy.
Yeah. Which is fair.
Now I'm gonna say this, like out of all the things in Man of Steel, action is definitely not the things I hate in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zack Snyder is very good at filming action, and I think the action in that movie was very good. However, when it goes on and on and on and on, and when the entire like second half of the movie is like 99% action sequences, it's like, how much can we fucking see of two guys punching? Like, I got it. They can punch really hard and really far, but like, can we like have a story here? Oh no story. Okay, it just all right. Okay, cool, fine. So that was the thing that was the problem in that movie. It was too much. I think this was a good balance because I know Superman Returns, a lot of people were like that didn't have enough action. Man, it still had way too much action. Yeah. I feel like this was a good balance of the two.
Yeah. All right, so we're just about done with the questions we collected, but then we will give our ratings, and then from there we'll move into Jurassic World, and Fiona can get some sleep because it's getting pretty late at night here. And then after Jurassic World, I think Liz is going to head out, and John and I will continue the conversation.
Nope, I'm staying, gang. I'm here all night.
All right. Well, Liz is going to be here. Okay. Well, but Fiona has to go to sleep soon. So, okay. Better than the peak Batman v Superman. Caleb was. I don't know if he was being sarcastic about this.
He's being sarcastic, but still, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Aquaman was better than Batman v Superman.
I think this is a better movie than the theatrical version of BVS. I have to ruminate on that a little bit more to give you a definitive answer. Even though I know, Caleb, you were being facetious. You saw Batman v Superman, right?
Long time ago. I feel like I would have to rewatch it to have any kind of opinion.
I mean, you should
erase it from your memory, Fiona. It's not worth the brain capacity.
Okay. And trust me, guys, we will get into the box office numbers. We have stuff to talk about there as well later in the show. But speaking of ratings, I think this is a good time to get to that part of our review. Christian was asking, did you guys enjoy the movie? Rated from 1 to 10. But before, actually, you know what? I just got one more question. We were talking about action. If it was lacking, quality, quantity, how much? Was there enough? Was it good action, bad action? But Bane was asking, Bane will break you. Did you have a favorite fight scene, Fiona, in the movie?
Is that not spoiler territory?
Well,
it is kind of spoiler territory because my favorite one is definitely a spoiler.
Was it in the third act of the movie? Later in the movie?
John?
Yes. I think it was like end of the second act into the third act.
Was it involving crypto?
No.
Okay, got it. My favorite fight scene in the movie was definitely, I think, the one in the I would say the one in the stadium was great, which we have seen a bunch of already. I'd have to sit on it. I don't have a definitive answer. I think right now I'm thinking of 3 different ones, but maybe when we have seen it a second time, we can give you a better answer. Liz, did you have a definitive favorite fight scene?
There was a spot in one of the scenes in the stadium that really stood out for me that I really liked a lot. I mentioned it in our private chat, but I also any time the Justice Gang got involved was pretty great. So leave it there.
By the way, we have seen some of that stuff in the trailers. Okay. I know that Manus Time had a question that he said, did we forget about it? Would you describe, okay, how would you describe you want for this universe after seeing this movie? Is it like Tom Holland where you just feel they're rebooted for the MCU's sake, or is it really warranted? Yeah, I guess he's asked that question a couple of times. So I guess basically what Manus Time is asking is, do you feel like this reboot felt like more of the same of what we've gotten before? Or like,
No.
because I know one of the reviews said this is another, several reviews that are negative have said, is this a reboot for a reboot's sake? Because they didn't see anything that this movie like needed to be a reboot for. Like some of the critics were saying, they could have just done this with Henry Cavill Superman. What are they going to do Man of Steel 2 anyway?
Because we
as
need new
opposed to-
blood. We need new blood after 20 years. We need
Yeah.
we need fresh new faces, new actors. And again, for the first time, we're getting new characters, or at least characters in a different storyline. I think this was great. I think this opens the door to a lot of possibilities. Again, it's a newer cast, it's a younger cast, so we've got some more time with them. We talked about it yesterday. Rachel Brosnahan said she'd be happy to be a part of this franchise for the next 10-15 years. So hopefully that happens. But you know, every franchise needs a revival every so often. So this is just what we're getting now, and I think it worked.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Fair enough. Okay. Just
Caleb says keep casting RDJ as new character.
I know, I laughed at that.
I don't know. Maybe next thing
You're
you
not
know,
wrong, dude. You're not wrong.
Yeah,
You
he's
know?
gonna be playing his own grandkid. Anyway, so I was just gonna answer. Naren Verma was in the chat earlier asking. I don't know if you're still watching, Naren. I don't know if somebody answered your question. We do find out who Ultraman is. I think we mentioned it earlier in the show. Without spoiling it, I will tell you it's just because I know the obvious. Everybody's
Well,
gonna
I have a
wonder.
question about that since I
Yeah.
will say it was shocking. Okay. It was shocking for me up until the point when they are revealed, and then I was like, oh, it's that person. But it made sense, like you could figure that out as the story.
Right.
But for you guys, is that canon? Is that
No, okay,
true
so-
to that's all I wanted to know.
Okay. Yes. So I'm without going into spoilers. I'm trying to find a picture of Ultraman. John, maybe you can find us one. There he is. He's slamming Superman into the street. As far as Ultraman's identity, I'm just gonna say this. I said it earlier. It's not Henry Cavill. There you go. I let you guys know because I don't want to set false expectations. It's not Henry Cavill. We're not gonna tell you who
It's
it
Zack
is.
Snyder.
But to answer Liz's
would be
question, yes, I mean there is precedence
Okay.
for it in the comics.
Okay, that's all
There
I
you go.
needed. That's all I
There
needed.
you go.
Thank you.
All right. So I think that covers. I know we have a few more questions. Like Jalen was asking, do you think this film will be more divisive or lean more positive? In your honest opinion, just guessing the vibe. Very quickly before we talk about ratings, I think the critics' ratings being really high will generally mean that audiences tend to lean positive, and if the critics are positive, chances are the audiences will love it too. It's rare you see a movie that the critics loved that the audiences didn't. So I'm just gonna go off of that and say this movie will certainly not be as divisive as Man of Steel was. There are some points of confliction, I guess, but I don't know. Like maybe we can talk about quickly what our theater reactions were like. I know that in our theater they clapped at the end of the movie, and generally speaking, people were pretty well engaged. But I don't know, Liz and John, what do you guys think?
Yeah, my theater was all in. We clapped at clapped at the start of the film. They clapped in there were some really good hero shots throughout the film. They laughed at the appropriate times, especially anything Nathan Fillion had to say. And yeah, they clapped at the end of the film as well. And the majority of us did stay for the end credits. But again, if you don't care for the film or if you think it's mid, you don't need to stick around for those.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, I think it'll be mixed to positive. I think there will be a lot of people like Fiona who are not like, oh my god, not like the fucking insane side effects that are just like, you know what, it's not for me. It's not for me. I don't prefer it. But if you like it, that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's okay. If you don't like the movie, that's fine. Just don't be an asshole. All we ask. You know?
Yes.
It's that's all it is. And I think there are gonna be plenty of people that are like, you know what? I didn't really care for this movie. I don't like how they did things. And as I said before, seeing the movie, I'm like, there are gonna be a lot of people, not the majority, but a lot of people that are gonna be like, you know what? I didn't vibe with this. I didn't like how they did things.
But I also don't think anyone's gonna leave being like, I'm so annoyed that I saw. Like, I don't think
Or,
anyone's
like,
gonna
gonna be
leave feeling like
pissed
they
or,
wasted
like, I
2.5
hated this
hours of
and-
their
yeah.
time. You know, like I know, like Fiona, maybe you're not gonna see it again, but I don't think you walked out of there being like, wow, I can't believe Dan dragged me to this. You know,
It wasn't. It wasn't.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think the fans are going to carry this. The general feeling when we left the theater, there was a ton of fans there. They loved it.
They were standing
And-
talking in the hallways.
Yeah,
about
people
it.
were standing
Yeah.
talking like afterwards, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I was like, is something else happening?
It was pretty
And
late.
I
No
was
more
like, no,
movies.
these
Yeah.
are just the fans hanging
Yeah.
out. So I think the fans will carry it. I think if you're a fan of Superman, you will enjoy it. You will think it's fun. I think maybe just for, like John said, maybe just the average person coming in off the street like me, you can take it either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be divisive. I think it's generally going to be more positive.
I think it's going to be
reactions,
more positive. Yeah.
than not. I will say though, it leans a little heavy at times towards appealing to comic book fans or comic book movie fans as opposed to the general audience. So that's really the only source of concern. All right, let's talk about ratings, and then we will continue the rest of the show, and Fiona will tap out for the night. Yes, finally, it's late on the East Coast here. Christian was asking, did y'all enjoy the movie? Rated from 1 to 10. Let's go.
No, don't start with me.
All right, let's start with Liz.
with Liz before she cuts out again, because ladies first.
Liz, what was your rating for this movie?
I want to give it a 9. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Listen, 8.5. John, what do you think?
Look at him.
And it's funny because like you sounded like you liked it more than me, and I give it a 9. Like I straight up give it a 9. I thought it was.
I'm trying really hard to like be like really
I think
honest.
like I'm curious because I am gonna watch this again. My parents.
I'm
really
definitely
wanna see
seeing it again.
They're
I'm
big
definitely seeing
Superman
it again.
fans. I'm gonna see it on Friday. We're gonna see it in the Dolby Theater again. Hopefully, I don't fall asleep in those seats.
I'm going to
goddamn, they
see
are
it in
comfortable.
Dolby. I can't wait to see it in Dolby.
Yes, awesome. So I give it a 9. I had some grievances, but they didn't feel like they were major. But let's see what I think after Friday, and that spoiler talk.
Okay, so generally really, really high rating so far, Fiona.
I don't know. 6.5.
6.5 out of
higher
10.
than
Don't be
5.
afraid. Like we're gonna like
Tell
be
us what you
mad.
think.
Tell your truth.
That's
Speak
okay.
your
It's your
truth.
opinion.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like if I'm
completely
leaning
valid.
positive, maybe a 7, but probably a 6 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6. That's
That's
fine. That's
okay.
still positive. Like I
Yeah, I mean,
expected
like,
something
more than 5.
worse, honestly,
Like-
but that's okay.
No, I mean PLO was saying 6 out of 10 is considered. It's like a passing grade, right? Like it's a 60%. It would be a passing
Okay,
grade.
then,
So
if I'm being
it's-
honest, it's a 6 for me.
6. Okay.
That's fine.
All right. I would say personally, right now I'm sitting at 7 out of 10. I know that for me, that's what I did for the Batman. And then now, if you ask me after seeing it a few more times, many more times, I would give like 8.5, 9 out of 10 to the Batman. So I know my rating can sometimes go up if I see the movie multiple times. So 7 out of 10.
It's a
to
9
start.
for me, but I'm trying to be like diplomatic.
Exactly.
Of course, figure
I mean,
drawing
'cause
is
it's-
hitting, but like,
Yes.
yeah, we're not like, it's all.
No, I'm sorry.
How dare you speak ill of Superman?
I wanted to like it.
Hell, Sweet Beans really didn't care for it. They gave it a 4. So like,
Wow.
that's fine. I get
That's
that.
fine,
It I can feel like people were like, the thing is, it's funny that you say that because that's what I was kind of worried about a little bit, was that it was going to be too much Justice Gang. I felt that they were not in the movie a lot. Like they were
No.
like at the
If
very
anything,
beginning.
Mr. Trevor was in it more than anyone else.
Yeah, and that's what I,
Yeah. Which is
predicted.
fine. He was great. I'm very happy. Very happy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of you guys given a really high scores as well in the chat. Again, not everybody's going to have the highest of opinion of the movie. I think we have a pretty good spectrum of opinions here as well. Yeah, I promise you guys, we do have your questions about the box office, so we will get into that later. And we will also, cover the topic of reviews. We have other reviews coming in as well from the major outlets. So, but with that, guys, for the time being, we're going to switch over and talk about Jurassic World for a little bit and then talk more Superman, because I know Liz went to see that, so we got to do some movie madness. But before that, I'm going to pitch it to you guys. If you're watching live, again, keep dropping in your comments down below. Get in the chat, talk to us. We'll bring your questions in. We have to talk about box office numbers for Superman. But for the time being, again, not finishing up the show by any means, and there's lots more Superman conversation to come through. We're going to continue to answer your questions, and we just need to make sure that Fiona here can get to rest, and all of us want to keep going. It's been a long day. It has been. But with that in mind, guys, let us know. I'm trying to find the graphic here. Again, we're not done here by any means, but let us know what you thought about Superman overall so far. Give us your review of it, spoiler free for now, in the live chat in the comments down below. We're going to continue the conversation here as we move on along with the show. So for now,
like and subscribe.
Absolutely, please do that.
Up there, it's behind Dan.
I think we're flipped, so it's over here.
Sorry,
it's over there. There you go.
Yay!
We got there in the end. It this time.
We got there in the end.
Yes, but all right. So with that, guys, I'm gonna hand over to John and Liz, and they can do movie talk madness. I'm gonna take a bit of a break. Fiona, I'm sure we'll be back on the show in the future at some point in time, maybe to talk about the spoilery parts of the reviews.
Girls. You guys in the chat.
But until then, guys, we're gonna switch focus to talking about some movie talk madness. So let's do that right now. And John, take it away, and we'll be back to talk about more Superman in a few minutes.
All right. So obviously, we are going to be talking about the other movie that was big, but then we kind of, forgot about it a little bit. But you know what? That's okay. We're going to get into this with Liz. She also saw, I didn't see, so I'm going to kind of cut out. But Sweet Beans was talking about it for a sec, and we're going to, that's not what I was.
Not that one.
There it is. Haha. We're going to be talking about Jurassic World Rebirth. So, Liz, please, hopefully you don't cut out. I'll stay, because in case you cut out again, I will stay here for that. I'll let you.
We're working on it, gang. We're working on it. Again, I see movies so that y'all don't have to. I will say I have friends that went and saw this. We've talked about this ad nauseum. People who are diehard Jurassic fans, they're going to see these films no matter what. They're going to enjoy them no matter what. And that's great. I'm happy for y'all. For me, this was probably one of the worst Jurassic World films. The first act was god awful, and I'm in the theater the entire time. Like, if this is what it's going to be, I can't. The writing was absolute trash, and none of the characters are likable in any sense. Like, even Scarlett Johansson's character is a dick. Like, it's really kind of hard to get invested in any of these people. The scientist guy is like a total aloof, like, nerd to the point of like annoyance. The big pharma bro is a big pharma bro. We already know his deal. And again, Scarlett Johansson just comes in as like, I'm a mercenary for hire, and I'm looking forward to taking home. He brings in Mahershala Ali and their other band of rebels. They all kind of do the same thing. They're like, yep, we're just in it for the money. We don't care about the risk, whatever. We'll do whatever you want. There's just no redeeming qualities to any of them, really. They try a little bit to put some humanity into them. At one point, there's a conversation between Mahershala and Scarlett where they're just kind of catching up. And we find out that Mahershala, his character, loses a son at a very young age, and his marriage kind of fell apart because of that. Scarlett, her character was still in the field with some other people that they used to associate with, and she's talking about how she couldn't go to somebody's funeral, and her mother had passed away from cardiac disease, but it wasn't enough to make you invest in these people. And then, of course, always at some point, somehow, they throw in little kids. A little kid has to be involved with the T-Rex, because that adds another layer. I don't know. So at some point, as they're headed to the island, they hear an SOS call. A boat has capsized, a family that was traveling across the Atlantic. So Mahershala, again, because he had lost a son, hears that there's this distress call, this family in need. So he decides to divert their mission, go rescue them, but then bring the family onto the mission with them, which, by the way, is illegal. They're not supposed to be traveling to this island. Travel to the island is totally banned. So sure, let's just involve a bunch of civilians in our illegal activities, because that makes a ton of sense. But again, the almighty dollar is pretty strong. So yeah, it's all right. It's okay. The action was predictable. The situations were predictable. The stupid decisions these characters make and put themselves in bad predicaments was predictable. There was a spot with the T-Rex. Really, it was just because they needed to throw the T-Rex in somehow. It was all just for the sake of movie making. I really can't give it any more than that. The dinosaurs all looked great as far as special effects and that kind of thing were concerned. I didn't really care for the actual rendering of a lot of them, because they're supposed to be like mutations, so they were almost like grotesque versions of dinosaurs that we sort of recognize. And there was also a part in the trailer where they reference raptors, and they're concerned that they stumbled upon some raptors. That never happened. Spoiler alert. But we do see raptors for like a hot second, but they're really not a part of this film at all, which was also really surprising, because it seemed like that was the direction that Jurassic World was headed, that almost the raptors were kind of taking the shine away from the T-Rex. Whereas here, the T-Rex was an afterthought. The raptors were basically treated like nothing. They weren't really a part of this world at all. So it was kind of an interesting pivot for them. But again, overall, it was mid for me. I just sat there the whole time like, yep, all right, that happened. So again, I know the diehard fans are going to see it regardless. People love their dinosaur movies. It's making a shit ton of money in the box office, and rightfully so. That's fine. I'm not going to begrudge you guys that. But for me, it wasn't anything special. I have no desire to see it again. I can't even necessarily say that I'm happy that I did see it, but it was okay. I can't give it any more than that. Like literally, like that one shot is like the most you see of the T-Rex in the entire film. It's negligible. So for me, if I had to rate it, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give it like a 6.5 out of 10, because it was just a nothing burger for me.
Would you say? So, what other Jurassic Park movies have you seen? Have you seen all of them, or
I've seen all of them. I've seen every single one.
So, is this because from what I've heard, this is like okay, but like at least it's better than Dominion, which was the last one.
I didn't hate Dominion, honestly. I liked some of the other characters that they introduced. For me, and I know a lot of people are going to drag me for this, but you guys have to remember, I'm 41 years old. So these movies came out like, when I
Kayla
really
was asking the same thing.
So for me, the first ever Jurassic World, it was Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park 2, and then Jurassic World. The third film for me, I've never cared for. It was never a hit for me. That's the one with the pterodactyls and they're in the big giant cage. That and granted, I haven't seen it in a really long time, so I can't really say that it doesn't hold up compared to the newer films, but just from memory, it never did anything for me. I would still say this one, however, is worse than that. So that's,
That's
take
saying
that as you will. Yeah.
Even my friend, he's like, Jurassic Park is one of his favorite movies. He is a Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 apologist.
That's fair.
He thought this was probably the third best Jurassic Park movie.
I mean,
outside of the first two.
Yeah.
And even he gave Dominion a 0 out of 5.
I mean, I will say Dominion, quite frankly, is so different from all the other films. Like it almost doesn't even make sense to be a part of the franchise. But
hey, Blue Beetle was great. Flash sucked, but
quite frankly, Dominion, they were trying to take it in a completely different direction, and then they just kind of gave up. And like, if they had made follow-up films to Dominion and that made more sense, like I don't know how to properly explain what I'm saying, but I still didn't hate Dominion.
Don't, Caleb.
It's
don't
it's
watch,
certainly not
watch
not my
Flash.
favorite. I would probably say, I mean, the original is peak. I would put this in the bottom 3 along with Dominion and Jurassic Park 3 or Jurassic World, however you guys refer to it. But yeah, it's just again.
Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World are two different movies.
Well, I thought they called Jurassic Park 3 Jurassic World. That was the first time we heard.
3.
Okay. So yeah, Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, so it's Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World Dominion, then Rebirth. So.
Okay. So the third Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Dominion and then this Rebirth are they're in the bottom 3 for me. Like I said, 6.5 out of 10. I have no desire to ever see it again. Did nothing for me.
But yes, that was Liz. I haven't seen the movie. Don't care to see it because I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna get hate for it. Original Jurassic Park, kind of overrated. Not gonna lie. I thought it was pretty good. I give it like a solid 7. Not the peak movie.
You should, if you ever get the chance, John. I would say see it in 3D. They released it in 3D for like some 15th anniversary, 20th anniversary or something. And I developed I've always loved that film, but I developed a completely different appreciation, certainly for Spielberg and his directing, when I saw it in 3D. It's one of the few films that 3D ever made an impact on me. If you ever get the shot. Yeah, and again, you might feel differently as you get on in years. Who knows?
Yes, but the thing is, that is Movie Talk Madness. But now, let's get into. Okay, let me link this up real quick. Gotta make sure I click the right link.
I'm just going through the chat.
So we will see. But first things first is, of course, Superman related. So it's just a cute little thing of just a cute little sidestep of Lex.
Nicholas Hoult fangirling.
And also, okay, if y'all didn't believe me with the Brendan Fraser vibes, the motherfucker looks like he does in The Mummy,
He's in The Mummy.
Here. I'm just saying, I'm not crazy. Anyway, thoughts on the clip? Thought it was
cute.
And Nicholas Hoult, of course, comment, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed." So very, very cute, guys. Next up, apparently, Netflix sets release date for Alice in Borderland. Season 3 drops first teaser trailer. Thoughts?
I didn't know there was a season 1 or 2. I've never heard of this show ever in my life. But hey, good for them. I hope people like it. It sounds like they do.
Yeah. Next up, more Nicholas Hoult, but this is him talking about getting a hug from David Cornsweet. He's like, I was chatting to my wife. She was like, it's so nice to be held by someone bigger than you. You don't really get that, do you? David Cornsweet could hold you. And I did ask him to. It felt warm inside. And, it's just, very cute. Well, I mean, I understand why it's popular. I get it. I just don't think it deserves to be that popular because it's a fun movie, man. But it's not
it's
like
a classic, man.
It's not like the greatest thing since sliced bread that a lot of people make it out to
be. It was at the time.
No, if a movie is only good for its time, then it doesn't deserve to be a classic.
No, anyway, it makes a cultural impact, man.
Anyway, but speaking of cultural impact, actually this isn't going to make a cultural impact, but John Slattery, Jessica Henwick, among 9 cast in Netflix limited series, Vladimir, opposite Rachel Weisz and Leo Woodall. Thoughts?
Good for them.
Yep. James Gunn, Nathan Fillion, and more on MAGA outrage over director saying Superman is an immigrant. I don't have anything to say to anybody spreading hate. I think that's a very good blanket statement of people who don't understand the character. Thoughts, Liz?
Agreed.
Yeah.
And again, it's not for everybody, and he's fine with that, and I'm fine with that.
But yeah, I think that makes sense. And moving on. Next up is just more, we see the Justice Gang here being awesome.
Looking
and being,
fresh.
Yeah,
looking
very
fly.
fresh.
Looking good.
Justice never looked this good, and that's...
And I appreciate that they've all,
Okay.
dressed as their characters. Like, they are all pretty representative of
Although I will say Isabella Merced's
Awesome.
looking more like Venom than...
she's got like
Hawk
she's got
Girl.
like feathers on her.
Oh, yeah, I
They're,
can
like,
kind of
they're
see
supposed
that.
to be like feathers.
And then Eddie Giffegi just has that drip. Like, no matter what, like, he has that drip. So,
Mhm,
and I will
mhm.
say, Anthony Carrigan was great as Metamorpho in the movie.
So good. He was so good. I love him anyway.
Eddie
I love
being my
anything
crush
he
across
does.
3 different franchises makes so much sense. But yeah, awesome. But
We're
going
on it,
from one
Caleb.
movie to another, AMC theaters to offer 50% off tickets on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They are desperate to get those people in, but I think
Can
this
you
is a step in
smell
the
the
right direction.
desperation?
But it's a step in the right direction. Now you just need to not have 30 minutes of previews. I know you doubled down on that. Oh, we're gonna have 45 minutes of previews now. But even then, hey,
One thing I didn't mention, and I will say, I don't know if it was a glitch in the Matrix, but when I saw Jurassic Park World, whatever the hell we're calling it now, when I saw Jurassic this afternoon, there were 5 million trailers, then ads, then the Nicole Kidman spot, then like a special teaser trailer for the Odyssey, which I did not see coming at all.
oh
It was
yeah, no,
really
that
cool.
was that
Really
was
cool
the
to see,
intention.
but it was just a weird way that they had reorganized that. I know they have said they're going to start putting ads mixed in with the trailers, which they did, but it was really bizarre.
We just had an entire like
Wow.
90-minute conversation about Superman. So go back
Yeah.
and
But anyway, no, I mean, quite frankly, why don't you make them 50% off forever on every day? Everyone agrees that $12 to $20 for a movie ticket is outrageous. How about cut the prices in half and watch the theaters fill up? Doy. But okay, give it a shot on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when people have school and work and whatever. They already
that's
discount
the
Tuesdays
best they can
as
do.
it is.
Like, to be fair, you do have like a bunch of old people who have nothing better to do going.
No,
like,
I
Senior
appreciate
Tuesdays.
that they're trying to amp up on their slowest days, but again, we're kind of going through some shit with the economy right now, and you want butts in seats. The best way to do, because they don't make
That
their
is
money.
true. Not everyone has seen the movie.
Well, and because they make their money at concessions anyway, so it doesn't matter. The ticket prices don't matter. Who cares? You're playing ads. now
Also,
in
don't
front of the
worry.
thing.
For everyone that was worried, I put Billy in timeout for the time being. If he does that again, we are banning him. So just don't worry. I did check that and I did it. So yeah. So next up, going from more Superman stuff, Rick and Morty boss on how James Gunn and Zack Snyder agreed to parody themselves in their dueling Superman takes. So they just said they were like really good sports about it, and they were, just happy to, just poke fun at the whole like ridiculous part of this war that isn't.
And James has
real.
been on the show before, so he just was like, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's funny, and I thought the clip was funny. As someone who hasn't watched the show in since season 3, I thought this was funny, and this is a show that definitely isn't funny anymore. So yeah. Next up, apparently Marvel has not finalized Avengers Doomsday's third act, thus proving James Gunn's point on having a finished script, guys. But
It's proving that they're still trying to get Chris Evans to show up. That's what that's proving to me.
But what are your thoughts on this? Is this
I don't care. I don't care. The movie's still like a year out. I don't care. I'm not worried about it.
ask. That's how the show works. I have to ask. I'm sorry.
No, I know, but
or
I'm
else
just
Dan gets mad at me.
This is me like speaking to the universe. Like, stop writing articles like this. Get a life. I don't care. I don't care. That's
Sorry
not
about that,
news. It's not
Enterprise.
news.
We don't take that language. We take that language seriously, and we don't appreciate that. If they come back in, then we will ban them. But I want to give people a second chance. Maybe he was just trying to be funny. I don't know, but I know that's never good, but still. Again, I'm wearing the Superman shirt. I got to practice some of the values. Maybe he's just, trying to get attention or something. I don't know. But next up, the last quick hit, it's Clark and Lois just being iconic.
I think this is my favorite dress. You said the other day there was a dress that you really liked. I think this might be my favorite dress. It hits.
This might be my new favorite now because I love, again, the purple. They have the purple. Honestly,
and David's looking all right too.
The Lex Luthor-esque suit here, like he has like the white collar and like the different colored shirt and like the pinstripe, very Lex Luthor kind of vibes. But Rachel Brosnahan being wonderful and rocking every dress she is in, no matter what. So hell yeah.
And to be fair, I don't think we gave her enough credit for the film. She was great. She was great in the movie.
She was. I mean, I've said this before. Literally, when I watched an episode of, and that's the last quick hit, by the way. Literally, when my parents were watching
the Marvelous
episode of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and let me turn off this music. Hang on. There we go. When they were watching the show, I was just like in the room and I was just like, I don't feel like getting up from the couch, so I'll just like sit here. And they're like, okay. And so I was like kind of like on my phone, but I was like kind of like half watching it, half paying it, so just like, oh, looking up. And then I don't know if this was before or after she got cast, but I having that in my head, I was like, oh yeah, she's Mrs. Maisel is literally just Lois Lane if she was a comedian.
That's fair, yeah.
Like, and she
very
was like,
smart,
oh,
very quick wit.
Like Mrs. Maisel, there was a lot of Mrs. Maisel and Lois Lane. It's like, yeah, no shit, lady. Of course, Mrs. Maisel it's essentially the same character, except one is a reporter and one is a Jewish comedian. So it's like, you know, it worked. I mean, Jewish comedian's kind of like repetitive, but you know, it's just like that's how it is. And I when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, she's pretty much that character. So yes, I know that, Liz. I do know that.
Oh, okay.
Really? Come on now.
I'm trying to get you to watch the show, man.
Oh, I can't click on comments for some reason. But Jeremy Blue asking, so how much are you thinking? Am I okay?
You are.
Can you see me?
I can.
Hello?
I wasn't sure if it was on your end or my end, so I wasn't trying to address it.
Uh-oh.
No, you're good now. You're here.
Hang on a sec.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, it's just me. Hello. Also, Jeremy, what were you referring to? The big question is, are they continuing the series? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Are you referring to Jurassic? Are you referring to Superman? What were we even talking about? Throw it on the chat if you would, please. Give me some more details on to answer your question here.
I'm back.
Oh, hello. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for saving me.
Yes.
I can't open up any other windows. So.
We're here. Okay, means Superman. There we go. To answer that question.
Yeah.
We got Jeremy Blue in the
chat.
Are
they continuing the series? Hell yes, they are. Hell to the yes, they are. Everybody's on board. Absolutely.
Yes, I am back. And we're going to keep the show rolling here. I know John is back.
Working through it. We hear you.
Am I here? So I had to use a hotspot on my phone. It says I didn't have internet, even though like it said I had internet, but I didn't. But I guess it was my time to get booted out. I mean, Liz did it a trillion times already, so I guess it was my turn, which is fine. I deserve it. You know,
flares. It's solar flares.
But yes. Yeah.
Yeah. M2G.
Sorry about that. I will. You know, we did get through quick hits though before I.
Yes.
But anyway, yes, Miss Maisel is great as Lois Lane. Just wanted to say that.
That too.
All right, so we're gonna keep the ball rolling here. Before we do, just want to wrap up the quick hit segment.
Yeah.
All right,
John, we were talking about Clois and how great they were.
Yeah, Clois looks great. Some of the clips definitely spicy. I think I put
Whoa.
together a rundown, so I know you guys talked about it. But okay, that's actually the wrong graphic. It should be this one here. Thank you guys for enjoying the news, the quick hits part of the show. We're gonna move on now to back to DCU Daily because, of course, we have a million other things to get into. There's more Superman conversation. So, of course, at the very top of the show, we had a full review. We talked about Superman. We had an incredibly detailed interview. Fiona was on here talking about it. You can see there's a popcorn bucket. We got the popcorn bucket. We got the drinks. I know everybody's got their merch. So these are the Regal ones. You know, Regal. I know AMC has different ones. Cinemark has their own. But we have a lot more Superman conversations to be had. So I think we're going to start with some retrospective on all the promotion stuff they've been doing. Like the LA premiere was the world premiere of the movie. So Liz and John, that's we're getting big yawns. All right.
Sorry. Sorry.
It's late. It's late. Let's talk about that.
I'll get some candy.
Continue on talking about the movie. I am taking your comments in, by the way, everybody. So if you have any more questions about the movie, I know Jeremy dropped in just now, and I know we had Billy in the chat before he got banned, which I'm sure was for a good reason. But I know a lot of you guys are still watching, so of course, if you have more questions about the movie, do bring that in.
I'm gonna take my ring off. Sorry, it's just starting to make it's starting to be uncomfortable.
We have to talk about the box office for Superman as well, and yeah, we'll finish some of the questions. I think I left out a couple of questions from earlier that I wanted to save for now, so we will talk about those as well. But John. First things first, let's dive into all the promotional marketing stuff from Superman that we usually talk about at the top of the show. We're just doing it a little bit later today, but let's do it. So this here is apparently the prop shop guys. They're talking about how they'll turn that popcorn bucket or container from it. Which one was this? Was this from Cinemark? No, this is the Regal one. I didn't see it at the Regal I went to.
It was there.
Oh, was it there?
Yeah.
Okay, Fiona. Fiona just said that it was there. The one we got was not that, but it was there. What we got is like a bundle.
That one I guarantee was $50.
But the thing is, these prop guys, they're gonna turn this thing into like a life-size version that you can actually like walk into, which is kind of crazy to think about. So I was like, damn, okay, that's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know if I would care for that or if that is even for somebody to collect or it's just going to be like an installation of some kind. I thought that was interesting. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that, but yeah, you can they will basically make it a life-size version of that container. Do you guys care for that or would be interested in having that in your house?
Honestly, that would be really cool. That would be like a good thing to like have in the theater. Like, you know, it would be cool since it's like him hitting into a wall. It would make sense if it was like a crane machine, because then the life size thing would make sense and not just be like a popcorn bucket. But I think that could be kind of fun.
Could be. That's a good point. All right. Well, let's keep the ball rolling here. Then we got a few more things to get into, John. On to the next one. Food Network doing more collaborations on the marketing with Superman. Apparently, they've created a Fortress of Solitude cake. I thought this looked delicious. I mean, give me some of that. I think, look, regardless of what you think about the movie Superman, I think the Fortress of Solitude they have in this movie is probably the best iteration.
So delicious.
It's nice.
Yeah,
it's
the
nice.
Fortress has also never looked well. Exactly what you just said. There you go. Sorry, John, but I don't know. Would you guys want a piece of that cake?
I think it's a lot of work, but like putting the light in there, nah, that's too much work. But like, it's still cool, like as a kind of show-offy kind of cake. So,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, let's keep the ball rolling here. Then let's go on to the.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Brendan Fraser.
This is all the LA premiere stuff we're getting into now. So, of course, they had a big LA premiere, and I mean, this was the world premiere. This is what they consider.
David
the world
does
premiere.
have a good cake. I mean, what?
Sure
he doesn't just have
you,
the bulge. He has the cake too. Don't worry.
I'm sure
Sure
he does.
does.
I'm sure he does.
Shame it's always covered by a cape. What are you gonna do?
But anyway, next thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of cake, hello, Richard Brosnan rocking it.
I can't say anything right now, so I will just let you do the talking on that one, John.
Nor should you.
Yeah, I will say though, that was again. I said that her dress that she was wearing in London was the best one. I think this will kind of beat it out.
Yeah, we
probably,
said that before.
We
We've
both
all
of us were
agreed
like,
that this is
nah,
the
this
best
is
dress.
probably the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Restore the cape
Okay.
cut. Yeah, it just removes like David's cape and it just gives him a massive badonkadonk. It's just like, whoa.
There you go. Yeah, I yes. Yeah, Rachel Brosnahan's husband is a lucky man. Thank you for that comment. She's still got, I don't know if, okay, here's the thing. I was surprised that James Gunn and Peter Safran were the only ones to show up in Paris. So I guess they're giving these, the actors a bit of a break. So I wonder if they're going to be in New York tomorrow and then in Beijing by Friday. So I don't know. Like I'm glad they didn't, basically run the full gauntlet because it's crazy. Like the flight schedule. I feel like James Gunn probably feels like he's living on a plane right now.
There was also some stuff going on in Paris too, so that might have been like they might have originally been scheduled to go out there, and then it just didn't. And then they made it. It wasn't possible.
That makes sense.
You never know. Yeah,
which is completely fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, but hey, she was stunning on the red carpet, like she was in all her previous appearances. Speaking of stunning, though, Nicholas Hoult. You might hate him in the movie, which is the point, but
yeah, I love that.
He's been killing the promotion. It's like no one, Nicholas.
And he
Hoult,
looks so good with the blonde too.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
It's good.
By the way, Marco is in the chat. Hello, Marco Are you in Portugal? Have you seen the movie yet? Let us know in the chat, man. Welcome on to the show. Sorry, John. Continue. You were saying.
Nah, just look. It's the king right here. It's the king of DC right here.
Man of the hour. The man in charge.
There he is. Boom.
Yep.
Honestly, he's looking more swaggy than Lex Luthor. Like, hello.
What would you call it? Double-breasted? What is that? Like this more old school suit? Yeah. Love the suit. Love the suit. Let's keep going. More looks from the red carpet. You got the trio there all together. I think this, by the way, is the best David Cornsweet has looked in this entire tour.
Oh yeah, we were saying that he definitely has like a Lex Luthor vibe.
Yep.
Right here, like he just like that is very much Lex Luthor.
Yep.
Although I think I just realized Holt might be wearing like leather pants or something.
Sounds good, Marco.
Yeah. Yep. I don't like that. That's weird.
Some people did like the leather pants. I don't know if it was my favorite.
It made a pace.
Not with a suit jacket. No.
Let's keep going.
Looking like Ross on Friends. Anyway, but this was great. Will Reeve was on the red carpet, and I was like, because I was looking for him because he, as we saw in one of the trailers, we saw him in like on screen and like doing a report, and then we saw him on the ground, and it was very lovely to see Will Reeve. That, by the way, which is not a spoiler, that they said that
you knew about it.
Saw the behind the scenes.
He's been doing the press junkets. Yeah, he's been doing the circuit.
So to be walking literally in his footsteps was something special to me. Yeah, that's how it is. It's very wonderful to see Will Reeve really, see like all of this, like really embrace like.
Yeah, and he did bring a piece of his dad with him to the movie as well. So if you guys get a chance to check out the little mini interview that he has here, you can learn all about that.
Yeah. But very lovely, and he looks so much like his dad. It's insane. But moving on a little bit, boom, there they are, just like rocking all these
a bunch of dream dates, as they say.
Again, he's got that Ross look. He's got.
I don't care for the leather pants. No, the jacket should be shorter. Then it should be cut shorter. No. But this girlfriend, yes, ma'am.
Whoa. Look at that.
There it is.
If he didn't fucking have the buzz cut, it would. If he had his full head of hair, it would look way better.
Yep, agreed.
In my personal opinion.
Agreed.
But you
are correct, sir.
I will say, like, if he had if he shaved the beard and if he had the full head of hair, like, he's definitely giving Patrick Bateman vibes a little bit. Not gonna lie. So yeah. Boom.
Marco, by the way, seeing the movie tomorrow. Thank you, Marco, for letting us know.
There he is, number 4.
The rest of the Justice crew, as it were.
there he is. And
The
look at that
man of the
suit.
hour.
I'm loving that old school,
The
like
man of
Kentucky
the
Derby
hour.
kind of suit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm loving that.
He's
man
giving Righteous Gemstones right now. Y'all, if you haven't seen that show, you guys check him
I've
out.
heard
I mean,
He's great.
that show's great, and he's great. And then,
By the way, what we
and
didn't
again,
talk
Eddie
about
with that drip. Goddamn.
I mean, can I just say, guys, what we didn't talk about is the fact that I was surprised that Maria Gabriela de Fria had her accent in the movie. They didn't change it up.
Well,
at
I
all.
mean, I think in the comics she is Hispanic, so I'm pretty sure.
In
But
which case,
I could be wrong.
Great.
Yeah, Babe Magnet, Jimmy Olsen. Can't wait for him to become a Last Lad. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and Rachel Brosnahan, like we were saying earlier, was stunning on the red carpet. Ray J just saw the movie. Hello, Ray J to the chat. Mr. Terrific also looks
Hey.
fantastic.
All right, don't spoil anything.
We're not saying anything, Ray J.
Yeah.
Very much so. From Dora the Explorer to, Hawk Girl. Hell yeah.
Mhm. There is a new Dora right now. There's a new
Yeah,
movie coming out.
I know. It's on Paramount Plus, right? I
Yes.
think. So if you want to
And
watch
For All
that,
Mankind on Apple TV Plus, where you can see Adi Kategi chopping
Alright,
it
I
up.
still need to
So,
go. I was gonna watch
Yeah.
fucking episodes of it today, but my dad was watching soccer, so I couldn't fucking use the TV, and I don't have my own
Soccer.
Apple TV Plus account.
Wow, you say that in a very derogatory sense, Sean.
because we're in America. Nobody fucking cares about soccer here. Like,
Okay,
get
that's
the hell
not
out.
true. That's not.
That's not
The
true.
only
I
reason
can
people
tell
care about
you.
that Americans care about soccer now is because of Ted Lasso. Get out of here.
I think you're gonna get yourself in trouble. Anyway, go ahead. With the next thing.
Honestly, not gonna lie, Frank Grillo, he looked a little bit like John Stamos there for a hot sec. I was like, "What is John Stamos doing here?" I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh,
I mean,
no, that's
they're
Frank
both
Grillo."
gorgeous, so like.
Jalen is back saying, when to see other reaction videos from the people I trust the most. It seems like this movie will do well. Not everyone will love, but so far it seems that the fans and normies will love it. Yeah. I mean, I think that's, again, what we were saying earlier too, Jalen. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the consensus so far. But yeah, let's keep on going here, shall we?
Yeah. Gross. But,
this was a group
look at
photo
that.
from inside the theater where they screened the movie. So that's great. Good to see that. Love it. Love it. It's fantastic.
And, your boy, James Gunn, thanking everyone for the very wonderful event. So,
yeah,
that's very
we want to click into that image. Let's just, who's the best dressed of the evening from
Rachel.
the LA
I would
premiere,
say
you
David
think?
Cornsweet. Like
Rachel.
that pinstripe suit. But Rachel is definitely a very close second. But, like,
Dude,
that pinstripe suit is just...
I
would
think
say the
James
worst is
Gunn.
Nicholas Holt. Those leather pants. I'm sorry. And plus, it's like it's probably like 100 fucking.
Yeah, I was
degrees
thinking
in
that too.
LA
I'm like,
right
bro.
now. It's like, bro, what are you doing?
It's freaking boiling in there.
I'll just say James Gunn looking like the Godfather. That's my favorite. Yeah,
I don't know. Sometimes when he
pulled it
does a
off.
suit, though, like it's very ill-fitting. He needs better tailoring on his.
Sorry,
like,
I had to do.
jacket.
Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Frankie, for that reference. Okay, look, I will say though, the Club World Cup, Marco, is happening in the US, but it's, I mean, not a lot. I mean, they've had a lot of half-empty stadiums, so, but I'm sure there'll be more interest
Because the tickets are outrageous, dude. Because the prices are redonkulous.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, that's John. That's not true. Come on. I literally have been working in and around soccer as well as other sports, the NFL and all the. I've got a couple of Emmys as
I
part
love
of that
soccer.
whole thing.
Thank you very much.
So I mean, it's the world sport. It's a beautiful game. Let's not hit on it. Anyway, let's keep going. We got more to get into. Do we have anything else from
they
the
are
LA
weird,
premiere?
Marcos.
I think the next thing we have is discussing the box office. I think this is done.
They are, Marco.
Exactly, Marco. Exactly. But I think the next thing we have is talking.
All right,
about...
we'll let John reset there. But guys, we have a few comments. Let's dive through those while John resets. So I'm gonna throw back up the Superman graphic for a moment here. Where did it go? Superman.
Oh, believe me, Elite Easy, I'm not. I'd like to go. I'd like some tickets. My darn self can't afford them, son. Again, for $1 a day, gang. For $1 a day. Anyway,
which I was gonna say, good time to remind the folks we are launching memberships by the end of this week, and we will also have a Discord channel up, so you guys can definitely join up. And the quick preview. We're thinking about the membership tiers, and a bulge or bulges might be involved in our membership tiers. Looking forward to that, and you guys will be able to get some exclusive content, some new shows and programming as part of that. So, excuse me, wow, whew, I'm okay, and then some other additional perks as part of all of that. So I promise something like this will also be an exclusive. You could just get a whole reel of flubs from over the years, including lost episodes of the show that you guys have never seen before that exist in the also curious DCU Daily archives.
In the pocket universe.
In the pocket universe, yes. Like the one in the Peacemaker show. Since we're not spoiling anything. Okay. Okay, some few straggling questions from before. I know there's some of these are aimed specifically at us.
I hope so, Elite Easy. I hope so.
Okay.
Oh,
so
I'd be so happy.
The watcher earlier was asking, Dan, is it fair to say that maybe you just like realistic takes, maybe a bit more, or no? Is that a fair assessment? Okay, look, I will say though, I don't know if you're still watching, but I will. Of
course, he's the watcher.
He's always watching. In general, I do prefer a more grounded take, but by all means, I don't think that's the only way to do things. I don't mind if it's something more fantastical. So for me, this Superman movie definitely leans more into the fantastical, but it also has, moments of humanity which will feel real to any live action, iteration of anything. So, we just watched F1 recently, Fiona and I, and we both just saw Superman, and F1 is firmly more grounded in the real world of Formula One racing. They wanted to make the most realistic, racing movie ever. Joseph Kosinski specifically says that multiple times, even just the behind the scenes stuff for the movie. So with this, James Gunn said that the world that they're creating is firmly its own world. Like he's not trying to make these characters fit into our world. He wants this to be, it's its own, that the DCU is the DCU, our world is our world. So knowing that going into the movie, I was perfectly fine with this movie with Superman not being something that needs to feel realistic. I think it's more about the internal logic of the movie itself. And I don't think there was any logical flaws in the film. But I will say, the problems I had with the movie were mostly with the pacing. The second act drags a little bit. I think it's like I was saying, like you start off with all the pieces and they kind of scatter out. And then when they come back together in the third act, you don't feel the momentum the way that I thought I would see. That might change on second, third viewing. But I mean, some ups and I would say a bit of an up and down mixed reaction so far. That's my reaction, only my reaction. I still overall gave it a 7 out of 10, so still a positive review. But let's keep on going here. We actually have a question for Liz. I don't know where Liz is. She's still in the background, but Angelica was asking, do you think Superman is better than Thor Love and Thunder? So I think that's
dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
The shit.
I mean, I appreciate that Batman was in Thor Love and Thunder, but
no,
no, like, come on. It's kind of cruel to compare, but no. Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Enterprise is saying Alan Moore is a talented yet weird man. In fact, Frankie says Alan Moore watches The Watcher.
Pushing it.
So
I mean,
there
he
you
got
go.
some hits, but like he went off kind of like Frank Miller. He kind of went off the deep end a while ago, and now he's just an asshole. So,
Yeah. By the way, we do have Chuck Rod in the chat, and Chuck Rod was asking a question. I'll bring that in a second.
To be
Chuck
fair,
Rod
a lot of people still like Thor Love and Thunder. I don't want to meet those people, but they exist.
I didn't hate it the way other people hated it, but
yeah,
I recognize it for what it is.
Here's the thing. Thor Love and Thunder almost made $800 million. There's a chance if the Superman movie doesn't land with all the fans, and I do think there's at least 2 moments in the Superman movie which felt like there could be lightning rods for social media controversy, the kind of things that catches the attention of the internet in this Superman movie that we can't spoil for you guys, that could lead to this movie making less than Thor Love and Thunder. Because remember, Thor Love and Thunder, as much as people hated the movie in hindsight, it made like over $700 million. So who knows?
Like,
I mean, it's still
like, look at the Transformers movies. Those made billions and they all fucking suck. So
well, the last one really was bad. I enjoyed the first Mark Wahlberg one. That one was fun. Anyway,
nice.
I can talk about that all day. Chuck Rod was asking, do you agree this Superman movie is a great launch pad for the DCU? John, what do you think? Do you think it is a great launch pad for the DCU?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously some things could have been tweaked, but like, I think it wholly works as a film, and I think it works as a launch pad. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's not just like Iron
it's
Man
not.
again. It's not a. It's just. And the thing is, I do want to
That's the
say a lot of people are
thing.
like, "Oh, it's just going to be a Marvel movie with DC characters." It doesn't feel like
No,
that at
no.
all.
No,
But
it
here's
doesn't
the
feel
thing.
like that. No.
Okay, here's what I will say. This
No,
Superman
Jeremy.
movie.
What? No.
We'll
Sorry.
we'll get into that, but I'm just saying. Chuck Rod's to your point, John. This Superman movie is not, in my opinion, right now, as universally, I don't think it's going to be as universally acclaimed as Iron Man was. It's also not going to be as divisive as Man of Steel was. The question becomes, where on that spectrum does it land? I think it's closer to Iron Man than it is to Man of Steel in terms of really beloved versus really divisive. I just don't think it quite, for me, it didn't quite land in the same way, because there's a lot that happens in the middle of the movie, which we can't talk about. There's some stuff in this movie that was so dark, thematically speaking, and just what they showed versus not showed, that I mentioned earlier in our reviews, that Zack Snyder didn't show, that James Gunn chose to show, that Christopher Nolan never showed, but James Gunn chose to show. I'm surprised they got the PG-13 rating because of a couple of the things that showed in this movie. Not to mention, there were some inconsistencies about like showing it in one place and not in the other, but whatever. And then there was also the whole thing of, look, James Gunn has his horror roots, so there's some horror elements in this movie which I think work for some people, but for some people who are not fans of horror movies, like Fiona, she was like, that put me off. So there's always the chance that we will have some of those reactions. I don't think there's anything. I still don't understand the whole neck snapping controversy. I get the surface level thing behind it with Man of Steel. I don't think there's anything quite like that in this movie. But there are a couple of things that people will probably look at like, I don't know if we needed that in the movie. And we know that they already cut out like that Crypto getting punched sequence because that didn't test well in the test screening. So, but anyway, look, this movie right now is sitting in the 80s on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think the movie is going to do just fine. What else did we have questions wise? Okay, PLO asking about box office. Sean, speaking of box office, before we dive into the box office stuff proper, Liz, John, would your predictions for the box office go down or up or alter at all based on now having seen the movie? Do you think this movie makes more money based on what you saw than what you were expecting before today, or less?
I think just because of the hype train, it's still going to make around what we predicted. Hearing different people's reviews and the mixed reviews, I want to lean over and say that domestically it might be less, but I don't think so. I think we are in peak movie viewing season, and people are going to the movies to see Jurassic. They're going to the movies to see Fantastic when it comes out, and I think they want a piece of this too. I think everybody wants to see the latest and greatest, and this is genuinely piquing people's curiosity. So just for that alone, they're going to go check it out. So no, I think that the numbers are going to be just as steady as predicted. And I still think it's going to make a bill worldwide. I genuinely
you put
do.
772 down as your prediction, so we'll see. But yeah, I think mine is like 768, I think. But I'm going to double down on that thing because I think it's going to be mixed to positive. I don't think it's going to be like overwhelmingly positive like I thought. And yeah, I think there is I can see a lot of people having a problem with this. But I think internationally it's probably going to make a shit ton, as we keep saying. But yeah, I would double down on the 700. Like I think even before I was like, oh, it could make more. I think it could make more. Now I'm going to double down on the fact, it's probably going to make 700 to 800 million. I don't think it's going to hit $1 billion. With how people, unless the international box office really surprises us, I don't think it's going to hit $1 billion. I don't. But I mean, I hope it does, but I just
And
don't
that's
think so.
fair.
But yeah, I mean, Dan and I have been saying we think that it's probably gonna, in terms of opening box office gross worldwide,
Yeah.
it's probably gonna be
Um,
120 to 130. But obviously, we'll talk about that more soon. So.
Yeah. I don't know if Marco gave us a Rotten Tomatoes rating before or the box office, but there you go. We got those numbers. The $20 super chat bet. I think, John, is that still on?
Yep.
All right, great. There you go. Enterprising saying 130 is the highest he sees it opening at. Enterprising pointing out that 90 to 120 is still the number. We're gonna get into that in a second. I just wanted to address look. What I'm addressing
Although
to
Marco,
what I was talking
he
about.
had it at $1 billion. So do you change your?
He dropped his number. Okay, so lowering that, Marco. I was just gonna say that Marco was saying, so Superman breaks 2 necks in this movie. Elite Easy is like, no, it's 8 necks, all of the same creature. No, what I was talking about has nothing to do with breaking necks. It's something completely different. I was referring to it earlier in the movie like a John Wick moment. After that, I was like, you can kill Lex, I don't care. This movie can end 5 minutes from now. It's done. It's whatever. Like, it's just, yeah. The bet has not got anything to do with John shaving his beard, right? If I remember correctly, the bet with Justin Geeky Guy isn't to do with shaving his beard.
No. If I'm just saying, if it hits $1 billion, then he has to give a $20 super chat. That's it. Got
it. Okay. That's fair. By the way, I know Steven pointed this out the other day as well. Andy Muschietti, which we expect, he's still going to direct the Batman movie in the DCU. He was on the red carpet. But also Kumail Nanjiani was there. I don't know if Kumail Nanjiani, he's not confirmed for Booster Gold or anything really, but this is not the first time he's been on a DC. Well, he's been seen with Peter Safran at the Olympics last year in Paris, and then
with Mike Flanagan, who that got confirmed.
I mean, I guess to answer your question, Steven, it is very interesting that Kumail Nanjiani keeps showing up in these DC circles. Maybe he is the person they're eyeing for Booster Gold, but obviously the Booster Gold script isn't ready, so I don't know how far that's going to get, but or is right now. We'll just have to wait and see. M2G was giving us their review. They just saw the movie. We just won, folks. Movie flowed for me. DCU is back. I guess the DCU never went anywhere because it's only starting, but I think I know what you mean. DC is back.
We so back.
He was saying she or they were saying, I don't believe there was overcrowding. I think the characters we got made us want more of them in a Superman focused movie. Good thing there was a universe. So there you go. I think that's a good opinion in the sense that a lot of people are saying that, and you know what,
completely
each
agree.
Their own.
Completely
like
agree.
For example, I was mentioning earlier, like Fiona was on the show, she mentioned like she's not a fan of action that like horror elements, and this is a James Gunn movie, so there are some horror elements so that put her off in some parts of the movie. There's some other stuff she did not like that we can't talk about because it would be spoilery. And so for some people, there's parts of the movie that won't work. But overall, I think everybody on the panel gave it at least a passing grade to, overwhelmingly positive. So that's where we stand. But let's talk about the box office projection, shall we, John? So let's dive into that right now. That's what we were here to discuss. We're going to continue the conversation around, the movie in general. And I know you guys have more questions and your reactions, so we'll talk about that too. Enterprising saying the movie's still sitting at 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, John, James Gunn the other day did dispel the idea that this movie needs to make $700 million to be successful. So calling it basically the notion's nonsense. Do you agree that it doesn't need to make $700 million? And if so, then do you think he's talking about the box office, or is he talking about just the general reception of the movie needs to be positive and that will be good enough? What do you think James Gunn means there specifically?
I honestly didn't think about it like that. I think he means that needs to make 700 million to be like a good movie in the eyes of the public. I think that's what he means, because obviously we'll see what kind of man David Zaslav is, but I feel like Warner Brothers Discovery specifically, because that's the whole thing that's looking down on the DC Studios, because DC Studios is now on the same level as Warner Brothers sister studios, as we keep mentioning. I think they're like, no, this didn't make $3 trillion, so it's a failure. So pack up your shit, James Gunn, and get the fuck out. That's the thing I'm worried about, because like I understand like we had that with AT&T and like their shitty revolving door of CEOs and all that, and I get that. I know that's different, but I'm still in that like shitty WB mindset.
The new Superman film flying into theaters this year. Many of us,
but
sorry, my bad. Go ahead, keep talking,
but
John.
yeah, they keep making moves that are like, they keep making good moves, but at the same time, they're like, it could be, they also still make the same dumb WB moves, like mainly with animation, because it's like, we'll remove all of Looney Tunes, but we'll release Cat in the Hat. I finally saw the preview for that for Superman, and good Lord, I could feel the brain cells leaving my brain. And I love Bill Hader, and that could have been great, but nope, that's not happening anymore. So
I mean, I'll see.
So it's like, you'll
not
get rid
gonna
of
like
Looney Tunes, you'll shit like all this other shit, and like you'll get rid of Day the Earth Blew Up, you will cancel Coyote versus Acme for a tax rebate, but you'll release that. Okay, yeah, sure. David Zaslav making perfect sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's fair.
I mean, look, as far as the tracking where it stands now, based on reporting from earlier in the day, let's move on to the next article, because I think that's going to be interesting to look at. That's going to be something that we can definitely get into. The latest tracking, this is coming from Comic, but they're going off of numbers that were coming from like the industry insider sources, saying that the latest tracking for Superman is saying that they could basically earn back its $200 million budget just on opening weekend alone, according to Deadline. And then when we get into the Hollywood Reporter article, John, they're talking about the range where things sit right now. Now, the 200 million, I think, is possible if you account for the worldwide box office. But if you skip over to the Hollywood Reporter article, John, they give us more of a range for what we expect domestic box office. And like some of you guys were saying in the chat before, we're definitely looking at over $100 million. And DC Studios themselves are still being conservative, saying that it's probably closer. It's probably closer to 100 million, because they want to play it safe. DC Studios, with their very first theatrical movie, don't want to go out there and be like, this movie's going to make $1 billion, and then all of a sudden, we end up in a situation where it underperforms. So they're going to play it safe. Usually the studio releasing the movie gives you the conservative estimate. So DC Studios saying around 100 million. Industry sources in general saying 130 million, potentially higher. When you account for the international numbers, it could potentially open to as much, if not more, than what Jurassic World did in 5 days. So, but I mean, hey, domestically, the consensus is 120 million is definitely within the range that they're expecting. 130 million seems to be the high mark. When you account for the worldwide numbers, you can easily go over 200. Do you guys think that's a fair assessment right now based on the movie that you guys saw earlier? Again, we all saw Superman. So what do you think about these numbers? Is that possible? Is that something Superman can achieve?
I hope so.
Yeah, I think
do
so.
hope so, but
I do. Again, I think initially
cautious.
you're gonna get the super fans for sure, but I think anybody else that's going to see it right now is going out of sheer curiosity, just because of all the hype that's been around it. We haven't had a Superman film in a long time. I think people are genuinely curious to see how this looks. And frankly, to compare. I mean, Fantastic Four is coming out in the same month. We just had Thunderbolts. Like, they're probably trying to see. And also, again, maybe the Marvel fans who really like James, they want to see what he's going to be doing with DC. That could all be a factor in it. I think the curiosity factor is going to draw a lot of attention to this film in general. So I think those numbers are realistic.
That's fair. John, go ahead. What were you saying before?
No, yeah. No, I'm just saying I agree. Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. So with that in mind, I did want to, I mean, I know you mentioned, John, before that JB is just dropping into the chat. We have been live for like 2.5 hours, JB. So you're welcome to go back and see the full review that we started the show off with. Then we did some quick hits, and now we're talking about Superman again. But yeah, we are still live. So thank you, JB, for stopping in.
And no
They watched the
spoilers,
movie.
please. No spoilers.
They enjoyed it quite a bit, not a letdown. That's great. So yeah, again, no spoilers like Liz is saying. JB's going to see it again on Saturday. All right, great stuff, man. Great stuff. Everybody in the chat wants to know what JB thought about the movie. What I wanted to do, though, before we finish up, we have 4 of us on the show today talking about Superman. There is one other person we haven't heard from yet, but I'm going to mute the audio. But Bridget, right now, because she's in LA, I think she went into the movie our local time at 10:30 or 10 o'clock, 10:30. So if I am correct, then I think, she's going to see it at the Chinese theater, as you can see there, by the way. Huge poster, plenty of people out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like she might have just finished watching it in West Coast time. So we will get Bridget on the show tomorrow to talk about the movie, to Superman, and what did she think about it. Bridget isn't somebody who I would imagine I wouldn't say Bridget is like the biggest comic book fan, but she's obviously familiar with DC because she's been on the show. She's been on No Curious for a long time.
I mean, she loved Kite Man. So
she did love Kite Man. I mean, and so I would love to hear what Bridget has to say. So we'll have her on the show tomorrow, and then we'll see if we can get Fiona back to give us her spoiler thoughts on Friday. And Liz, I know that we'll hear from you as well, probably later in the week. But we also have our social media out of theater reactions that will be going up. So if you guys are following us on all the other social medias, then you can definitely check us out there with all the opinions. With that in mind, I mean, look, Superman is out now in different parts of the world. In the US is still, early screenings only. So all of us went to see the Amazon Prime early screenings. And before we finish up, I did want to bring Jeremy's question up that I know you wanted to answer, Liz. Do you think the Batman will fit in this universe? Because that's something we haven't quite talked about.
No. I mean, we've talked about the other projects that's going, like, I don't think the Batman fits in the Peacemaker universe, and Peacemaker is certainly much closer to that kind of tone. It's a more adult show, but I don't think it fits in there. So I think the Batman, the Penguin, those need to be standalone, and James Gunn has said that he's completely fine with that. Maybe if we get the Waller series, it might kind of be a nice, like, bridge between the two, between like Peacemaker and the Batman. But I really don't expect the Batman to merge into any of this territory at all. Not at all.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I said from the beginning, keep it separate, keep it an Elseworld story, keep, like, Matt Reeves wants to do his own thing, that's fine. I never thought, like, I was literally talking with guys after the movie, and they're like, "Yeah, I would love to see Robert Pattinson in this universe." I'm like, "Do you?"
Yeah,
it
for
doesn't
why?
make fucking sense to me to have him in here. It just
could you
doesn't work
imagine the banter
tonally.
between him and Guy Gardner? Like, Guy Gardner would be over there making quips, and Pattinson's just staring at him, like,
Just
he
like,
wouldn't.
"I'm thinking it's me."
Like, there's just
So,
it's
it's just like, and I said, like,
no.
"Oh, I want a more Fantastic Four." They're like, "No," and I'm like, "What?" Like, I'm sick of realistic Batman. I'm like, "Oh, what if Batman was in the real world? Cool, we got that a jillion times. Can we not do that again?" Yeah, Kite Man, hell yeah. But I can't see it, especially now. I definitely cannot fucking see it. So just keep it separate. Have anybody but Alan Ritchson play Batman in this universe, and we're good.
How dare you, first of all.
Yeah, I know James Gunn is
Also, John
expecting.
Campea, didn't he like Rise of Skywalker? So, like,
Well, no, he didn't like it. He thought it was like total crap. Anyway, no, I mean, another critic, we have seen him in the chat before, so good to hear that he liked. Again, everybody's gonna enjoy the movie to different degrees. So, look, as far as this Superman movie goes, you could, if you rewind back and see what we got at the beginning of the show, definitely your mileage may vary. But if you, John, if you want to put up the Rotten Tomatoes score again one last time, we can do a final update. The Rotten Tomatoes score, I think when we started the show, was settling in around 86%. Earlier, it debuted at 87%. At one point, it rose to 88%. Then since like a few hours ago, it's basically been at 86%. And now with like well over 100 reviews, almost 150 reviews last we checked, it seems like 86% is where it's going to be at the rest of the way. If you can zoom in a little bit, John, so we can see it closer up.
Although
so now it's got
reviews were added.
47. So. Since we've been live, they've added 3 more reviews. It was 144 before. Now it's 147. And 86%, it's already certified fresh. So that means this is not going to move a whole hell of a lot. So that's good. Now we just have to wait to see what the audience scores are and also what the cinema score is, because the cinema score is basically people answering questions walking out of the theater. Did you like the movie? And then we'll get to see, is it going to be an A+, A-, A? Where do we land with that? I mean, all the merch we keep talking about, now we've got some of this stuff, like, you know, this holographic stuff that I got from Regal. Actually, Fiona got it for us, but I know that Liz and John, you guys have been collecting stuff. We'll have more stuff, Superman marketing to talk about, because I believe tomorrow is the New York tour date. Let me see if I remember that correctly. So they did the LA premiere on Monday. Now on this Wednesday, which is basically right, you know, today, when we're doing the show live now, it's already past midnight in the East Coast. So July 9th, they're in New York. And then July 10th, they're in Beijing. So they're going to keep promoting this movie. We're going to keep talking about it. I know we'll have more to talk about, like, you know, more details, like Mr. Terrific. I know there's like different things that are all full of spoilers that we can't get into today. We haven't gotten into today. So we will have to, you know, have a longer conversation with spoilers on Friday. And as long as this show has been, I'm pretty sure we're going to have an even longer conversation on Friday. So definitely tune in throughout the week. We're here Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Yes, JB, there were definitely things in the movie that were either, you know, in agreement with the rumors or not, because some rumors were confirmed. Some, you know, definitely we're like, okay, so that was not true. We just can't talk about it until Friday. So we'll hold on to that. But thank you, JB, for chiming in. I know Kevin popped in at the very top of the show saying if the international numbers don't improve for Superman, domestic box office isn't going to be enough to save this film. Again, I mean, like James Gunn was pointing out, the movie doesn't need to make $700 million to be successful. As long as the people love it, the critics already do, the majority of them at least, I think we'll be good.
I mean, remember,
we'll be good.
The Suicide Squad failed, like, money-wise, but it was the first, like, really well-received DC movie in a while. I mean, so they're like, oh,
yeah,
this
like
guy might be cooking,
since the first Wonder Woman. Right, yeah, completely fair. But no, exactly. I mean, they've already crossed a few hurdles here. I think we're on our road to a great movie. Well, all 3 of us have seen the movie. Fiona saw the movie. Bridget is watching it right now, and we'll get to hear from her tomorrow. What I did want to do is, as we finish up the show, I wanted to put up a video that we have on the channel now, and I'll just give you guys a bit of a preview here without any audio, but you guys are welcome to go check this out. It's called 5 Ways That James Gunn is Making Superman Relatable. So shameless plug, but we spent a lot of time and, you know, effort making this video, and it's just a good summation of how James Gunn is making a Superman that feels more grounded and less godlike. So, and I think, you know, the folks over at DCU Daily's editorial team did a fantastic job with this. So we're going to be launching memberships at the end of the week. We're going to be bringing in the Discord server more new, you know, editorials like this. And John, you and I will be back on the show tomorrow. Liz, are you back with us this week, or are you coming in next week?
I'll probably be back just for the spoiler review. Maybe not a full show, but I will be back probably for the spoiler review. We'll talk about it.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
lot going on.
The entire Earth blows up at the end. That's what happens at the end of Superman.
Okay.
The entire...
I don't know if Eric missed this earlier in the show, but do you want to answer that question? Did you like the movie, Liz?
Sure did.
Yeah, I loved it. Liz loved it. Dan liked it. Fiona thought it was okay.
Yeah, and Eric, I mean, hey, we've been live for like almost 3 hours. So if you skip to the rewind back to the very top, be kind and rewind, you can see all of our thoughts on the movie. I had a slightly more mixed reaction.
An hour and a half of thoughts.
Just talking about the movie. But And hit that like button like Elite Easy is telling you. No spoilers, and no, not everybody dies at the end. That I can confirm for you. So there we go. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, good stuff for you, JB. Another great back-breaking show. Yes, definitely true. Definitely true. No, you weren't completely wrong. I definitely think the mileage will vary, Eric, because not everybody's going to love the movie, but I do think the vast majority of people will. So ultimately, I think that's the goal here. And then hopefully the money will translate accordingly. Like the movie will make, bank at the box office. So with that, guys, let's put up that thank you for watching graphic, because that's all we got for you today. I mean, another near 3-hour-long show. Tomorrow will be fun. We'll continue the conversation. It will be John, myself, and Bridget, and then we'll on Thursday, when you guys, whoever hasn't seen the movie yet, and with the early screenings, you guys go see it on Thursday. Come back and talk to us about it. We'll be live again, and then Friday. Remember, we're doing a full spoiler discussion on Friday. And guess what? I think Bridget is just sent me her out of theater review. So we will bring that into our social media channels, and then we'll continue the conversation. It is Superman week. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. If you guys came in late, rewind. We had a whole 90-minute review at the top of the show. Liz, thank you for your time. Fiona, thank you for your time. I know she's already sleeping, but thank you, Fiona, for stopping by on the show. And then thank you so much, John, for all of your time and effort, especially today. You did a lot of the running the show today, so appreciate that so much.
Even though my fucking internet cut out, but
dude, it's stormy weather up in the northeast of the U.S. right now. So
solar
I
flares.
mean, what can we say?
Solar flares.
Solar flares. Just endless solar flares, lightning, thunderstorms. It's just the whole 9 yards, But Superman is here, and we can't wait for you guys to see it and talk about it. We already talked about it. We will continue the conversation tomorrow. Until then, as always, as James Gunn and Superman would tell you, hey, buddy, eyes up here, and don't forget to look up.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
Guy Gardner Bowl?